Hey guys, welcome back to the Prehistoric Life Podcast, and I'm your host Eric Crawford. And today we're joined by Jocko Hara again. There's his Instagram account if you want to go check it out.
There it
We
is.
are would
Well,
you,
there it is.
we are slowly inching closer and closer to the official release of Jurassic World Camp Cretaceous.
Chaos Theory, but
Chaos
yes,
Theory.
that
The
one
original
as
show's
well.
already out.
The sequel show, yes. He's
The
everybody. He's right.
CCT.
CT. So yeah, it's going to be interesting lessons of C's, I suppose.
The next season has to have its own name too, so it just keeps adding on.
Of course. And it's funny because I spoke to Dan a little bit about this. I'm like, it's fascinating to me personally, mate, that it took us this long to get like an official title of something in the Jurassic universe named Chaos Theory. Like out of all the games, all the books, and all of everything, really.
Well,
Like,
I mean,
it took us this long.
I guess technically we had Jurassic World Evolution 2 with the whole chaos theory bit, but
That's a fair point there. And believe it or not, one of the episodes of Camp Cretaceous in season 2 is actually called Chaos Theory. Every time I search up the new show, it keeps saying like, "Did you mean Camp Cretaceous Chaos Theory episode 9 of season 2?" I'm like, "No, I did not actually." Thanks for that.
I guess I didn't really pay attention to the names of the episodes. So
Don't worry, nobody did.
I think there was like a few of them where I just like said them in the back of my head and just didn't click anything.
Oh, don't worry. Like, I mean, the very first episode named Camp Cretaceous, and then the very last episode of the show is the New Blast 6, and those are really the two ones that people really know.
I mean, those are the two ones that people really look at. So,
Absolutely.
and I mean, so I guess there was something with it popping up somewhere. Watch the first episode early.
Yes, so this is a very interesting sort of cross promotion they have going here. So they released a few days ago some official news that you will actually be able to watch, for anyone listening, you will actually be able to watch the very first episode of Chaos Theory a week before it comes out, if you for some reason have a Roblox account and it's being released inside of an in-game, in-universe streaming kind of app where you can like walk around with your character into like a little cinema, and you can actually sit down and watch like the very first episode being streamed in this little like in this little bloody game like a week before the show actually comes out.
Which is very interesting. That's a very odd cross.
Well, you know what it is. It's a very Fortnite way of promoting things. Because if you remember correctly, for like the last, I think, no, sorry, the Rise of Skywalker back in 2019, they broadcast Palpatine's return message in the game, and when that line happened in the movie, I was so confused. They were like, "Oh, we've received." It's in the title crawl. It's like Palpatine has mentioned he's returned from the dead. The dead speak, and I'm like, "What? When did this happen? What was this?" It was in Fortnite, mate.
It's too much going on there, and it's a little
chaotic.
You're like, what? One more time, run that by me.
Oh God.
All right, so I mean, you probably know way more about chaos theory, and you've been keeping up with it way more than I have.
Some might be able to say that, yeah.
I think most would say that.
To an obsessive degree, I would say, yeah.
All right, so I guess just what do you think is going to happen? Where is this going?
Oh, beautiful question. Very open-ended. So, okay, so we spoke about this a few days ago on a Jurassic Fans podcast. So, you know, anybody out here listening, go check that out. But some of the other thoughts I've had since then is that, so basically I think how it's going to begin is that it's going to open with the message about, you know, Brooklyn asking where was Darius, and then her supposedly being killed by the Allosaurus. And again, if they manage to pull that off and that actually be the case, I will be very impressed. And normally something like that wouldn't worry me, but it's the fact that I know from the behind the scenes like information that Jenna Ortega is not returning, not just for this show, but in no future Jurassic films or anything, no live action appearances or anything of that sort of nature. So I mean, like, honestly, yeah, that might be like, and again, if they can turn that and work that towards their strength for the show, because if they truly have the goal to get rid of one of the main characters in the main cast.
So I guess my only question is, how did they do that then? How did they get that clip? Did she come in for like
honestly, was a single phone call, mate. It could have just been a single phone call, one
You're
line.
like, hey, we need you to record this in your living room real quick.
Exactly.
All right.
Because well, it's between either that or I have heard rumors that supposedly it's a different voice actress. It's not actually Jenna Ortega, and I'm like, oh, that's interesting. Because if it is
Well,
a new actress,
if they
yeah.
went through all the trouble to do that, wouldn't they just replace the voice? Shouldn't they just replace the voice
Well,
actress then?
that's sort of what I'm feeling like is because at the end of the day, if they manage to turn out that she is alive and she has been undercover with this like dinosaur smuggling group and trying to expose it, and it is a new actress, I think that that's the way that they could like pull it off that she's around for like season 2, back when you reunited with the group or whatever. Because like, well, yeah, if they have a complete, because I mean they did the same thing with Genji. They recast Ryan Potter with someone else because I mean, he's released a statement saying that basically it's very unfortunate, but like it's all like a industry pull behind the scenes, and that basically it seems like he wasn't being valued for what he thought he was, and they just were like, "All right, see ya. Sorry you feel that way," and they just kind of booted him, which is very unfortunate. But I've got to be honest, and it's kind of almost hopefully not coming off as insulting to mention, but it took me 5 rewatches of the trailer the first night it came out to really notice that it's a different Kenji voice. I just thought it was just more Ryan Potter was putting on a more mature kind of like deeper Kenji voice.
Honestly, I didn't
It's been a
even
while.
I didn't
Yeah,
even
honestly,
realize.
I couldn't even tell the difference. And I mean, that in a way that kind of again works to its strength. It's like, well, no,
I
this
mean,
other
that's what
guy,
you
yeah,
want.
it is really. And then it
That's
almost made me
exactly what you
think,
want.
yeah, and it made me think, I'm like, well, it would have been interesting to a point if they had done that for every other character. Like, because Ben still sounds the same as he did when he was like 13, and like
Yeah, I guess
Darius
he
still
didn't hit
sounds the
puberty
same,
or something.
I guess,
He hit
or
puberty
like
late.
he or he hit puberty early on the island, and that's what the chrysalis of him turning into that jungle boy was. I'm like, well, you know what?
Maybe that's his puberty voice, and he's just
Yeah,
never
so maybe
changed.
so. Just yeah, we just kind of met him puberty pre-installed. Might have to cut that out. So yeah, so and like I don't know, and like it seems to me that if they have recast Jenna Ortega as like a very believable sound alike, then yeah, it might mean that she is still around and stuff like that. Because
You know
here's
what?
the thing, yeah,
They should just recast her with The Rock.
no, no, you got to keep him away from franchises specifically. Get him in your movies, but keep him away from franchises because he will absolutely take those over and just. Oof, we're not going to get into all that, but
It's
yeah.
Brooklyn, but she just sounds like The Rock.
Let me tell you something, Atrociraptors. Allosaurus. Oh, golly.
How did you escape Allosaurus? Well, first I got it in a headlock. Wait, who are you?
Let me tell you, it don't matter what you think, Allosaurus. Jesus, I can just imagine that happening. Oh, anyway, so yeah, but no, so yeah, we got all that happening, and then of course, there has been an official like little preview release of the Atrociraptors attacking Ben and Darius. But here's the thing: I've been tagged in it. I haven't watched it though because this is so close to the official like release date, less than maybe a week and a bit now. Like I'm at the point now where I want to go in still not knowing as much as I already sort of know. Like I still don't know anything about the plot, which is
I was about to
exciting
pull it up.
because yeah, because the thing for Game Cretaceous is, as much as I enjoyed it, I enjoyed it more than most people I've spoken to. But the problem was it was directly, it's basically what the prequel Star Wars movies were to the original trilogy. Like that they're on Jurassic World, and that like it's like, oh, what's gonna happen? Oh, the Indominus has to break out, and they have to try to survive for a while. So like this time I'm going in sort of not expecting anything because even though this
There's
is set.
nothing to know, if that
Exactly.
makes
And the
sense.
thing is, yeah, exactly right.
Other than there's
And the
dinosaurs on the mainland.
and the thing is, this is obviously canonically set just before Dominion. Like I'm pretty sure the very first teaser trailer we ever saw of the show with Rexy running across the road, I'm pretty sure that's the same night where the DFW like is hunting her down at the beginning of the movie, like at the walk-in drive-in cinema. So like I reckon because they say in the movie Dominion, they say like it took Department of Fish and Wildlife 3 years to catch the T-Rex. So I think we're gonna see the scene where she's actually brought down, like she's like tranked, and they catch her and they send her off to the Pennsylvania Reserve and then off to the Biosyn. So Yeah, like that's what I'm saying. Like this again, the show, it in a way, it is basically what the Clone Wars and Star Wars Rebels was to Star Wars in the prequels and stuff like that in the original trilogy. Like it's that little bit of extra context that kind of makes things a lot more clear, and that should be evidence when it comes to the Atrociraptors and their training program that they have going. Because if you've seen Eric in the trailer so far, they don't use the laser pointer yet from the film that they used for the Raptors. They use like a whistle, and that's kind of like, so it's like it's
Huh.
early days for them of learning how to like how to use the how to sort of like do the behavioral pack sort of stuff. So yeah, I thought that was really interesting as well. I'm sorry, I'm just thinking of the Raptors again. And there's a scene. Okay, so my one of my predictions I made a little while ago back on the other podcast was that I had a feeling that who was behind hunting the Nubar Six was that it was actually Daniel Kahn. It was Denji. It was Kenji's dad, because even in one of the little magazine tidbits that have come out about every character and what they've been up to, it's said that Kenji has refused to comment on his dad's incarceration, which means that he hasn't been talking to him. He hasn't spoken to him probably since the day he took off on the island and the end of the show happened. So what my thought was is that Kenji's dad was kind of like manipulating him in back to kind of like trying to make him kind of like, how do I say this? Stumbling. He's basically he went to like Soyona Santos, and he's hired her to systematically make her Trociraptors kind of like target the Nublar Six and pick them off one by one, because in a world out there where there's not like dinosaurs running around, what's more inconspicuous to like plot a murder in than just a wild animal attack? So I thought that's
Yeah.
what he was doing. Yeah, I thought he was like gonna pick all of his friends off and then leave Kenji. Like it's like, well, then Kenji's only person he has left in his life is his father, and it'll be like kind of like a sick manipulation to kind of bring him back. But in the trailer, there's a very quick shot of, I believe it's Tiger, landing down in front of like Darius and Kenji and another man, like a gray-haired man. And I reckon what it is that that's actually Daniel, who has just been released from prison, because we don't know how long he was sentenced to jail for. And I think what's happened is that they're going to make it seem kind of like sacrificial in the show. They're going to make it be like that his dad has had time to reflect. He's lost his name. He's lost everything. And to him, that at that point, he just wants to reconnect with his son, and he's going to try to do that. But then, he's probably going to end up sacrificing himself to give Kenji a chance to escape with Darius.
That could very possibly be. I mean,
Hmm.
although just some old gray-haired man, God knows who it could really be. I mean,
Yeah, it could almost be anybody, but that's the idea. But that would be my sort of thought, because it would make sense. Like, maybe we
maybe
see
it's Pygmy John Hammond.
We don't know. We can't open that can of worms. We can't open that can of worms, Anson. Not sorry, Eric. Not now, man. Oh Lord, that's a whole different thing. Like, I mean, they had a prime opportunity to do that, like on the island, because you could have kept it on the island. Could have been a secret that only these six knew about. But that'd just be wild if they had actually pulled that off.
That would be funny.
Oh
But
God. But no. So here's a question for you though, Eric. Which of these animals in the new show are you the most looking forward to seeing?
well, obviously Allosaurus, just because I'm
Of
partial
course.
to it.
Of course. Yeah, absolutely. I
And
mean, that was going to be the default. But I mean, okay, I should have restructured that question. Let me rephrase that. Which of the secondary creatures in this trailer and in the show are you looking forward to, aside from, Big Allie the Allosaurus?
well, I mean, I'm excited to see the Atrociraptors,
Oh, of course.
and
That's a good choice.
of course, Bumpy and hopefully Pierce. We'll see Pierce again. I'm hoping for it.
Well,
So
that's the crazy thing, right? Because again, we went into the whole like Manticore Island and what's happened to it and why is Bumpy and Big Edie on the mainland and stuff. But like I don't know if you saw the tweet, Eric, but there was something I said to Dan, my co-host, and I said to him, I said, imagine again, like I understand that they had to age Bumpy up very fast, way too fast in my opinion, but like to fight Toro in Camp Cretaceous season 2. But here's the thing, right? Imagine just for a second if that shot we've seen of Ben running up and kind of hugging Bumpy, like on the Sammy's ranch. Imagine if that was the first time we saw like an adult model Bumpy, like just like a fully grown like Ankylosaurus.
yeah,
because it would have been an appropriate 6 years by then, and she could have even had like a mate and a little clutch of eggs or something like that at that point. Like it could have been really cool to see that, and maybe we'll see that maybe Bumpy has something like that going on. But yeah, it's just a lot of questions at this point still, you know.
I get why they did have to kind of artificially age.
Oh,
her.
absolutely, yeah. And I mean, but the thing is, like, that's bro.
I mean, how long were
for,
they?
like, a few
How long
days.
were they truly on the island? Like
The island 6 months. 6 months since
6
Jurassic World went down. That's how
Jesus.
long it was.
So,
I know. And the thing
so
is,
if
when
Bumpy
Ben was
is fully grown in 6 months, that means that
well,
she is
the thing is,
old,
apparently, yeah, apparently she
old
wasn't
in 6
fully grown.
years.
Apparently she's like a dwarf Ankylosaurus because she's like asymmetrically like impure or whatever and stuff like that. And like that's why she hatched earlier. Like all herbivores need like a gestation period of like 13 weeks or something, and Bumpy hatched at like 11 weeks. And I'm like, okay, so she's got like the fastest growing genes of any dinosaur in the franchise. Fine, fair. But it's like she disappeared in the same episode, if you remember. She disappeared when Ben chased her off. And it felt like maybe a few days passed, like 4 or 5 days, and then she comes charging back in, mate.
2 weeks.
Oh my Christ! I tell you, mate, it was insane to me. It was
So-
genuinely maddening to see her just run in, and it was cool.
So
I just
her
rewatched
genes-
it recently, but
Her genes are magical enough to get her to pretty much adult age and then just stop. aging.
basically like sub-adult, absolutely. Like so, it's just wild to me, man. Because someone pointed out to me
'Cause-
on that comment, they were like, "Oh, she's not actually a fully grown Ankylosaurus yet," and I'm like, "Because the Ankylosaurus in the show they were way bigger. They were like the size of a truck," and I was like, "Yeah, all right, fair enough. Then you got me there."
So I mean, maybe we'll get to see her fully grown now, but still, that's really.
Well, the thing is, I think, believe it or not, Eric, I don't think they've actually sized her up at all. I think because the size of Ben, like hugging her over the head, like he kind of covers her whole head, and I'm like, so they just kind of plopped her
Well-
back in. They didn't really
Well,
scale her
Ben
up. Again,
got
we haven't
bigger,
seen
too.
Ben's certainly bigger, I'm sure, for sure. But like, I don't know, man. I don't know. I don't think
He
they've
filled out. So.
her. Yeah, maybe that's just it. Maybe it's just Ben's bigger. She looks smaller.
I really, because that 6 months and she's already that big.
Oh, bro. She
So-
was that big in weeks. It was wild to me. It's
Yeah,
just the
yeah,
fastest
in
growth
weeks.
ever. Yeah.
So, God, in 6 years, she would be massive, if not towards the end of her life, unless they have some magical gene stuff that keeps it a baby for a good long time.
Well, the craziest
Which
thing
is
is like
into
that's
Some adult as that.
well, that's
and
the
then
thing.
they're
Like
just adult forever.
one of the craziest thing though is that like that's not even the fastest she's ever grown. If you remember correctly, when she was born, she was as small as she fit into Ben's palms, into his hands. No more than 2 days after that is when the Indominus Rex like breaks out and starts like going ham crazy on the island, and we see her for the first time with the dead Ankylosaurus. She's as big as like a dog in 2 days. It was
Yeah.
insane. She like I was just like the amount of food and time and stuff her body needs to take into like protein and stuff. I was just like, that is insane. I just could not feasibly believe it. And again, I understand it. It's cute. It's marketing. You have to get it to a baby stage and then an adult stage to make it believable for kids and stuff. And kids don't really care. At the end of the day, that's the thing. It's just us, Eric. It's just these grown men of nerds who care about the rules that they don't need to follow because it's an animated show.
Magic genetics is pretty weird.
You know, weirdly enough, mate, that's something that nobody ever talks about. So, like the paleo community seem to be always the one that are most upset with, like the dinosaur inaccuracies and everything like that. But what about the bloody genetics community? People who think that like the genetics and science is just magic. You never hear about people complaining about like, tree frogs and DNA chances. It's like,
well, that's because we still don't know what we're doing with it. So
that's true as well, I suppose. You know, that's fair as well. God, it reminds me of that like real life Doctor Wu scenario of that bloke over in Japan a couple of years ago, back in 2019, when they genetically altered a pair of like twins to be like something was different about them. But yeah, it was like they were like, oh, you crossed the border of morals and themes and everything like that. And I was like,
send in SEAL Team 6, take them out. We're not doing
bro,
this.
like, and the thing is like he was only trying to like benefit them, but like he was proper arrested for like 3 years. I was like, Jesus, okay.
There's
So, yeah.
It's weird because there's actually like human cloning laws. Like you're not.
Well, that's
allowed to
the
clone
idea,
humans.
yeah. Oh, that's what it was. That's probably what it was. Yeah, no, he made like a clone of like a human or something like that. Like it was it was just like splitting a stem cell, and I was just like, oh, that's cool. But then people were like, nah, we don't like that actually. I was like, oh, come on.
There's a lot of ethics that goes into it. Like
Yeah, I
Okay, if you're a clone of a
guess.
human, are you still human? Are you still
Well,
like
that's
the original human, like that kind
well,
of thing?
that's why they were able to technically able to abduct Maisie Lockwood in Dominion because she's technically a clone. She ain't got no rights, bro. That's why they were hiding her away. That was fun,
Exactly.
but it's a question to have.
It could
And we
also be
are.
because she probably doesn't have a social security number.
Oh, she absolutely doesn't. That's the crazy thing. Well, I mean, technically, she could have still just kind of followed into like Charlotte's one, but like questionable again. But who knows? But anywho, so yeah, so we got that going on. I'm rather interested to see more about the speckled Spinax actually in the show.
I am too. I wonder if it's just going to be just another big
I
theropod for
think
them
I
to
think
throw
it
at the camp.
is. Yeah, I think it is. I think it's just going to be like for like the one episode and the one scene. It's going to be sick. It's going to be cool. It's going to run them
Yeah,
off the
will it be
road.
like the Oranosaurus scene from the original Camp
I
Cretaceous?
believe
They just
so. I
kind of
believe so. It's just like a one-off, one-time sort of thing. I do believe so. But here's the thing, Eric. Right? I gotta ask you: did you know of any dinosaur named Beckle Spinax before this show came out? Because I, for one, certainly did not. I
I
got
did.
to admit that. Yeah,
I
well, I
did.
imagine you would have.
I
That's why
did an
it's
episode on it
it's a
long
rhetorical.
before Chaos Theory.
It's a rhetorical question. But yeah,
Oh,
definitely. He's okay.
I
That's so
did,
funny.
but I'm sure a lot of people in the paleo community didn't.
Absolutely right, because it's the same with like when the first Jurassic Park came out. Nobody knew what a Compsognathus was, because ain't nobody at that time had no idea what that was called. They say it in the bloody novel. Like Grant and Sattler say that in the novel. They're like, oh, it was an animal even people know dinosaurs don't know about. But yeah, so no, but I'm interested to see like so what I am really looking forward to though, mate. And again, I am in the minority, but I just want to see more bloody like dinosaur smuggling, mate, and like the money that can be made off of it. Like that to me is where the franchise
I
needs to
feel like
go.
Camp Cretaceous is going to be where Dominion was supposed to be,
You think so?
and that's
Chaos
how
theory.
they're going to kind of make it up to us.
Maybe, because you can imagine. Even
Because
I had a reel that was posted just yesterday about the locusts when we were discussing it the
I
other
saw
day
that,
about
yeah.
like, yeah. And the first comment on there was like, they were like, "Bro, the only way they could have made that plot line better was to remove it." I'm like, guys, it's just like, don't you understand? And they're like, "Oh, you should have made it about the dinosaurs." It's like,
It
guys, listen
shouldn't be
feasibly.
okay.
Mm,
I have I have no problem with the plot line,
mm.
except for it shouldn't have been the first movie right after the dinosaurs actually getting on the mainland.
Sure, it could have been like a show or something. But here's the bigger thing,
It should
right?
have been something a project later on down the road.
Exactly. But here's the
And I
thing, right?
get why they
You
did it now, but
Yeah,
still.
you can't really make a movie about the dinosaurs being like a world-ending pandemic sort of thing because realistically,
Well, they
you're
won't be. I mean,
well.
you
That's the thing, because then you're only left with one
what
option.
is
It's either
what is a
hmm,
T-Rex going to do to a tank? I mean,
that's what
like
I'm saying.
it's not going to end
It's like
humanity.
that's the
We
thing.
just
It's like exactly like that's the idea. It's like these
T-Rex, well,
animals.
big gun. I mean, yeah.
Exactly. Like you can't like the next movie would have had to have been like, oh well, we wipe them all out. Like that's literally the only thing that could have
Well,
happened. Like you're not going to go the Dawn of the Planet of the Apes like route.
it
You're not going to have like. Hmm.
very well could have gone down like showing more of the smuggling side, more of
Exactly.
and
That's what I want the
the
next couple of things to
the
be about.
locust plot should have been a subplot.
Well, that's the thing. Like, I think it can work because that's the whole theme of Jurassic in essence. It's like
Hon-
the unbridled check of the power that genetic powers can do,
Honestly,
right?
the locust
But
plot should have been a plot to get them all to Biosyn Valley, and that was it.
maybe so. But like, but that's the thing. Like, the locust thing at least makes sense as terms of like a global like famine and problem and stuff. Like, whereas the dinosaurs they can't really do that. That's the whole thing. Like, well,
Although
the
I tell
most
you
they can
what,
do.
those Quetzalcoatl in New
Oh,
York.
absolutely. Like those and the swimming ones, those and the Mosasaurus, and then those are the real big problems and threats that you have because the flyers they can move all over the world, they can multiply faster, and the Mosasaurus it can hunt down like the last of the humpbacks, like the Tylosaurus was apparently gonna do in Jurassic Park the game back in the day. But like the ones on the land, it's like they don't really cause that
Even
much of a global problem. They really
even
don't. That's
like
the whole thing.
even the flyers. I mean, like
Hmm.
what is a Quetzalcoatl going to do against like an F-15? I mean, we're just going to shoot it out of the sky if it causes that big of a problem.
Well, the funny thing is, that's the thing. It's like the Quetzalcoatl. Listen, that one makes genuine sense as a danger because that thing could like land on a bloody jetliner and just take it out. Like that makes sense. That's a proper threat. Like that's a word. That's a genuine danger
Yeah,
to
I'm surprised it
commercial
didn't shoot
airlining.
it out of the sky sooner because it's just living on the
Exactly.
side of an Empire State. So
Yeah, and that's the thing. Like, if pteranodon's like flying to a plane engine, like the plane's going to go down. Like, that's a genuine problem that you can't really avoid. It's like
Did we hit a
birds, you know.
bird? No, we hit a pterosaur.
No, we hit something worse. It flew through the engine and exploded the engine in one go. It's like, that's what I'm saying. It's like, though that's a proper threat. And the Mosasaurus at sea, like that one's a threat as well because you can't always track it. You have to get it from different sightings and stuff, and it could make a genuine impact to like the population of like big whales and stuff in the ocean. Like it could
The
hunt down.
mosasaur would. I don't think it would have lived with the whales. Like it was
No,
that would
no,
have
no,
been.
and that's one of the plot lines I have for something later on, and as we talk about the movie ideas later on, because that's something that does genuinely upset me, is the idea that basically coexistence to me is impossible. I'm writing a whole part of that from one of my
Coexistence,
stories. Like,
sharks and dolphins.
I know
What?
you don't get on with a tiger, you don't get on with a snake. Like, that's not coexistence. It's really it's ironically it's dominion. It's the fact that we pretend to be at the top of the food chain, and even though no
Like
matter how much we try, we're not.
like
So
if we
that's the
like
thing.
Sinoceratops and rhinoceros. Okay, that makes sense. That totally 100% makes
Maybe,
sense. That
maybe, right? Yeah,
honestly, it is just a bigger rhino, really. I mean,
exactly. Like that again. You're right. That does make somewhat
that
sense. But like,
that kind
you're
of
not.
thing where herbivores fall into just like,
Mm.
okay, well, here's a herd of triceratops. Now they're with like buffalo. You're like, okay,
Yeah,
well,
here's a bunch of gallimimus living aside ostriches. Like, that's cool.
that
That makes a lot of sense.
but like you get like the raptors living with a pack of wolves. No, they would maul
It's
each
like,
other.
no,
They would fight each other.
exactly. They would go nowhere near each other, and even more than that, tell me another species on Earth that humans truly coexist with. I'm talking like live side by side, help each other to survive, sort of thing.
I mean, other than like domesticated pets, aren't
But
really
that's
any.
that's the idea, isn't it? That's the whole beautiful thing about it, Eric, is that everything we think that we like, we have domesticated, and everything out in nature, we have technically dominated to the point where like we've basically dwindled their numbers into nothing. We like to think that we're on top of the bloody food chain. So if something like that was happening in the Jurassic world, people are not gonna just like be like, "Oh, beautiful animals," you know? No, they're gonna hunt down those things and exterminate them. That's the whole premise of like what the next few
I did
films are probably gonna have to be about.
so. What was that guy called? There's a guy on YouTube. I think it's like I have to find his account. I don't remember
No,
what
you're
it
right.
was called, but he basically just discussed what would happen if like dinosaurs go or
Yeah,
in that.
yeah.
Alpha.
So I'll keep going with some points while you look for that. That's all
Um,
good. Bit of technical dramas there, everybody. So yeah, no. So what I reckon is going to be another little sweet thing to see is that Sammy's Ranch. I do think
there would
that
be like small dinosaurs.
yeah, we got a little problem there with the microphone there. A little bit laggy. Oh, golly. But yeah, no, I do want to see what the deal is with Sammy's ranch, and apparently according to the magazines, she kind of owns her own ranch now, which is something interesting as well. And yeah, no, it's gonna be I'm so excited, and I'm so excited as well that we already have a season 2 kind of already confirmed to kind of be taking place. Oh, technical difficulties, everybody. Oh Lord.
Sorry,
And
there. I don't
so
know what happened. We had technical difficulties. So
you're
I
good.
don't even remember what we were talking about.
We were talking about we were moving on to the other characters in the show.
Yes. So you were probably saying something before everything
Yeah,
had to shut down.
no, that's all good. That's all good. You might have to edit the last little couple of seconds of that, but yeah, no, we'll be good. So
I'll figure that out.
yeah, you're right. So So we're moving on to the other characters. So for me, guys, the one that I'm looking forward to seeing the most again is Sammy. Sammy Gutierrez. I'm loving her new look. I'm loving what the magazines are telling me about her. The fact that she apparently now somehow has her own ranch, despite her family's ranch being in danger in the last show. So I'm just and I'm excited to see more of her and Yaz being cool and sweet and older together, which is very nice. I've seen many people jump on the fact that Yaz no longer kind of looks like Yaz, and I'm like, guys, come on, she's fine. I mean, it's a bit of an adjustment, but we'll get behind it pretty quickly, I think.
So I mean, I guess where did she? I mean, I guess she didn't really continue down that track field. So
Well, maybe she has. That's the thing. I don't know. It's just saying she's dealing with a lot of PTSD, which is very believable because
she,
I think
they showed that a lot in Camp Cretaceous. She
Oh
was
yeah.
definitely.
Oh yeah, and the thing is, like, if people would have been really upset with them had they not like continued with that plot line, if she was just like, "Nah, I'm kind of over it now. It's been a while."
Just drop some random line. I went to therapy. I'm fine now.
Yeah, therapy fixes everything. It's like, nah, guys, come on, give me some
Therapy isn't a
lingering
magic pill.
problems. Nah. And again, but I like what the magazine has said to her. It's like she's like, oh, I want to be the girl that my girlfriend, like, I want to be the strong person that my girlfriend believes me to be. And I'm like, oh, that's really cool. I like hearing a bit of that, So I'm looking forward to seeing her and Sammy again.
Kenji's probably just depressed the whole
Well,
time.
that's the crazy thing, mate, and that's what's kind of leaning me towards. I'm like, well, is Brooklyn alive? Is she dead? Because Kenji does seem like kind of flatter, but I think that's just something that's come with his maturity. Because like they haven't really, from what we've seen, they haven't really discussed anything about like Brooklyn's like death affecting Kenji. Like for all we know, if she is truly gone, maybe he blames Darius, and maybe he hasn't spoken to Darius in a while. Who knows? Maybe because or if she's alive, maybe she's told only him so that he doesn't freak out, and then maybe he's just cooler about it. So we don't know yet at this point. So it's a bit of a toss up. At this point, we'll have to figure out.
We also haven't really seen a lot of him, to be fair.
No, we really haven't, have we? It's been like 2 scenes, really. I mean, he's smacking a Trossoraptors in the face, which is kind of cool, but it's like, geez.
That kind of thing isn't something that really took me as like a Kenji thing. So maybe he's he's so depressed, he's like insane now, and he's just like, all right, actually, that's it. I don't care.
You know what? Actually, I will rebuke you on that one point there, mate, because I got to say, in the show, and again, as someone who's just done a very recent rewatch, Kenji is an absolute goat, mate, when it comes to looking after, going out of his way to attack other creatures to like save his friends. Because think about it, in season 4, episode 1, he dives into a bloody ocean to save Darius right in the path of a mosasaurus coming at him, and then in the very next episode, he jumps off a flipping cliff face onto the back of a saber-toothed tiger to save his mate. Like Kenji is absolutely there for them, mate. So like he will do action if he has to. So and again, so like the idea of him smacking a Trossoraptor in the face to
even with the Monolophosaurus, he was like throwing crap at it. He was
oh my god, you're right. In the third,
he didn't go like toe to toe with anything, but
no, bro. But he drops a bloody he drops like a heavy statue onto that Monolophosaurus' head, bro. Crushes it, mate. I'm like, bro. So no, honestly, I will take that back. Kenji, it absolutely makes it very believable to believe that Kenji would go out of his way to be like, smack the crap out of these Trossoraptors if they're trying to attack his friends. I buy that.
I feel like Kenji is like, okay, I might be bad at Darius, but I'm still not going to let him die.
Exactly. Like, because I mean, well, that's kind of that's kind of all brothers now, I guess. But the thing that does kind of get me a little bit concerned about like that, because like the 5th season was the end of 3rd season, and kind of some of the 4th season was about Kenji being mad at Darius for almost letting Brooklyn die, right? Like that was literally the thing. And now, if this is true, it looks like that his worst fear had come true, that Darius did in fact let Brooklyn kind of die and that he didn't meet her. So then he might be really, truly mad with him and kind of done with him,
Oh,
you thinking about it?
Darius, oh, God. I just realized something. Okay. Boy. I know you didn't watch the clip, but
no.
There is a line
He's trying not to spoil it.
Where Darius is talking to Ben, and he's talking about how Ben prank called him, and Ben's like, I didn't call you.
Uh-oh, really?
What if Darius didn't call Brooklyn, and somebody else called Brooklyn?
That probably, that's could be very well. Yeah, that could have been really cool, actually. That could have been like an extra layer of like, well, the thing is, that's a good point.
They're all like mad at Darius because they find this thing, and he's like, I don't know what she's talking about. I wasn't ever informed. I wasn't ever called. I wasn't ever.
No, that's a fair point.
and there could be like this layer because she was just kind of out in the middle of the woods somewhere.
Yeah, well, here's the problem.
Darius
Here's the
is
only
like, I
yeah,
don't think
his
I'll call her.
yeah, here's the only sad problem part with that though, right? Is that like Darius admits to Ben, it's like if I had met her that night, which means that he did call her in
That
fact,
is
and he had in
that
fact
is true.
like spoken to her. He in fact did plan to go and meet her. So maybe a bit of a whole shot in the foot theory that one there, but I like the
Maybe, who
idea
knows?
there. Who knows? We will see when it comes out because you're right. I haven't seen the clips. I don't
And
want to
to
see the
be
clips.
fair,
Mhm.
trailers are famously known for being deceptive.
Some of
And
them. I don't know about animation trailers specifically, but yeah, no, Marvel trailers definitely.
I
I
don't
do
really know
love them
about
for
that,
that.
but they take stuff out, they reword
Mm,
stuff, they still rework stuff because the trailer isn't the full show. They
no.
still change stuff from the trailer and
Yeah.
things like that. So for all we know, that line could be in the show. It could very well not be in the show. It could be a different line where he says,
Mm,
like, man, I should have been there that night.
mm.
Who
Oh,
knows? I
yeah,
mean,
maybe you're right. Maybe a second take because actually, you know what? I retract my statement because you're right. There's a very infamous. It's so silly. Quick scene of Darius from the very first season, and he's like in the trailer, he's saying something like "dinosaurs," and he's saying it like that. And the lip syncs doesn't match. And then when you watch that scene in the show, he's saying, "Guys, this is a chance. This is Jurassic World." So you're right. They absolutely would do that if they need to do that. You're right. You're right.
so
Good call there. Good call, man.
I'm just saying. I mean, trailers are famous for not showing the big picture. I mean,
That's a fair point. That's a fair point.
uh,
So,
until
mm.
more recent, maybe superhero movies.
Maybe so. He scratched his neck, everybody. So, here's the thing, right? Now, this is a personal thing for me because again, I'm a bit of an over fanboy here. But do you think we're going to see? Yeah, I know. Do you think we're going to see Soyana Santos as Dutch and Leitchman's
Oh, most
character in this
definitely.
show? You think so?
Most
Think
definitely.
so?
They have the Atrociraptors. They're probably.
Right.
I don't know how big of a part she's going to play, but there will
That's the
probably be at
thing.
least one scene with her.
Here's the thing. I kind of worry that it's going to be these other two like characters that are kind of like responsible for handling them and sort of stuff like that, and that we're only
Well,
just going to get
yeah,
like a
they'll
phone
probably
call
show
to
them
her.
more because they're handling.
Yeah,
But
they're probably going to get just like a phone call to her because, bro, I swear, Eric, man, if she shows up like even just kind of like kind of out of frame, but like in like the silhouette of a car door or something like that, like in a limo door, like parked up outside the hut, kind of hunting, watching the hunt go on, I'm gonna be over the roof, mate. I'm gonna be so excited. I'm the only man in the world who could ever say this, but I'm so excited.
And then there is like the possibility that they could pull the
Mm.
like main characters from the Jurassic World movie route where they're just kind of mentioned off screen.
Well, they did, yeah, they did do that for the very first show. They
Or
mentioned
like you
Grant
don't ever
two
see
separate
Owen
times.
or Claire or
Nah,
but they're
no,
still
no.
mentioned and they didn't technically get a phone call from Claire.
Well, here's the interesting thing, mate. Right, this is something hopping back for like a long time in the history of our podcast and stuff like that. But I actually mentioned this to Dan, crikey, back bloody like July of last year. But I brought up an interesting point. So during the events between Fallen Kingdom and Dominion, does the public even know that like Owen and Claire are even still alive? Because if you think about it, this the like when they go to meet
That's
like
true.
yeah because to them the last time anyone
They're
publicly
probably
knew anything
dead.
about them, yeah, and the thing is
Well,
they live in a
okay. To be
secluded
fair,
cabin
those
in the woods.
random teenagers survived. And for all we know, they could go blabbing like, "Oh yeah, Claire and Owen decided to quit everything and go retire somewhere."
Well, the thing is, yeah, apparently I really thought about this hard for a while because like outside of the very close circle of small friends they have, like they don't leave that cabin really. Like they don't leave that cabin. Like Owen goes with his like wrangler mates and stuff, but like he would know not to mention anything to them. Claire only goes out to see Zara, and I think it's like here's the thing: does Claire's nephews even know that she's alive? Like, because the last time anybody knew anything about her is that she was technically working for the DPG, and she had made this DPG very public and stuff like that. The Dinosaur Protection Group.
Yeah, yeah. Wait. Are they just like sitting somewhere mourning the loss of their aunt? They're
Well,
like,
that's the
we
idea.
don't even
Because
know her body.
in yeah, because in my story I'm writing just as like a little fan fiction side thing. I'm writing that like the very first
Although
few chapters, Claire comes out of retirement from the cabin in the woods now that Maisie is safe, and she goes back to kind of run the DFW and the DPG
I
and the
guess they
dinosaur protection
probably
stuff.
would have been brought back into the light of the public with the whole events of Dominion.
Maybe, but here's the thing. Here's the thing. If they did, they would have been mentioned when they were mentioning like, oh, hey, Dr. Grant, Dr. Sattler, and Dr. Malcolm, and them. They have statements to make to the public. Again, Claire and Owen are not mentioned anywhere in that.
Well, they could. That they could just also have been like, no, we don't want to make a statement to the public.
Maybe you're right. And here's the other thing. But then the
There's
next
all
time you see
kinds of
him,
underlying stuff that we
because you remember they
don't
go
know.
to see Franklin at the FBI, and like and they're wearing the Marvel black caps, mate. They're trying not to be noticed by anybody.
And to be fair, the original survivors of Jurassic Park surviving another Jurassic Park event, they're probably like, all right, everybody in the world, I'm tired of y'all making parks. Quit. We survived 2 of them. I don't want to survive a 3rd one.
Yeah, well, funny enough, they did, didn't they? They went to Valley Park, went to Byerson. They went to there. Yeah, but no. So I don't know. It's very interesting. I don't know if Claire or Owen or anyone else would ever get like a mention of a name, because I saw many people saying that the gray-haired man in the trailer, that might have even been like Alan Grant. I'm like, why would it be? Well, why? No, it's not Alan Grant. It's okay.
Well, no, he would be out in the middle of the desert at
In the
that
middle
time.
of Utah, exactly.
And we don't know when that could be towards the end of the series. In the end of the series could be whenever Dominion happens.
I still kind of wish that my theory was what the idea was, that like they're targeting everybody that was like affiliated with these dinosaurs at any point in all the movies. Like they like anyone that's been interacting with them, they have to like eliminate them for some reason. So it could have been yeah. Well, that's the thing. Like the dino smugglers are targeting like the Kirby's. They're targeting Ian Malcolm in San Diego. They're targeting
to be fair,
Ellie
I
in
don't
Boston.
think they would target the Kirby's primarily on the fact that the Kirby's weren't really involved with anything except for like a rescue mission.
Well, I don't know. This is super deep lore here, Eric. But like, there's official material that says after Jurassic Park 3, they made statements to like they and Grant and them after they got rescued from Sauna. They made statements about like the new state of Site B, and the fact that there was a Spinosaurus on there. They did go on record to do that.
Was that them doing it to the public, or was that the military being like, "What are y'all doing here?"
Yeah, no. It'd be funny if it's just no. Apparently, it was like proper court cases and stuff like that. It was like proper on the books, like on public record and stuff like that. And then apparently Grant made like he made a statement saying like that this stuff was there. I wish I had like the link I could show you for that sort of information, but yeah, no, it's out there, man.
I'm sure it is. I mean,
he says, I take your word. I'm not gonna go.
I'll take your word for it. So I guess that is like a fair segue. I mean, so if you remember back to the original, not the original. I don't even know why I'm saying original. There's no.
Right, you're doing well.
What we're talking about is original. If you remember back to the podcast that I was on for you and Dan, you asked me a question.
Oh boy.
About if I had free liberty with just a Jurassic movie.
That's right. I said for everybody listening, I said if you had complete directive control, and if you were in the driver's seat and you had to pick out a plot, you had to make it characters, cast, dinosaur choices, location, everything, what would be your story?
And I kind of went off the rails with it.
Which in other words is great news, everybody, because he's come up with some wild ideas here.
Some very wild ideas. So I guess I'll let. Do you want to go first, or do you want me to go first?
Oh, look, mate, mine are not going to seem nearly as impressive in comparison to yours. I'm pretty sure I've only got like the one.
So I even have a notebook here that I've
he's been preparing. He's been preparing.
Jotting down ideas. Everybody. You probably won't even be able to read it on camera.
Probably
That's not the right link.
Oh golly.
I can't even put an extra camera on here. I'm struggling.
No, he's all good. I'll just listen to it.
I mean, there's a few. Hit the mic. Just some basic notes that. All right. So. All right. Well, I could actually pull it up. That'd probably be helpful.
Oh,
you can't even read it.
No, it's illegible. But you know what? It's there. It's there.
Yeah, the camera quality is good enough. So. In that episode, I did already mention this kind of basic idea of
the very bare bones skeleton, if you will, outline of what to do.
The innuendo's there. For pun intended. Jurassic World. I don't even remember what I called it, like Red Dawn on your podcast or something.
I do believe that was the title, or Crimson River. I think it was.
Crimson River is what I've officially named it. The project, but I think I called it something else.
Yeah, and he says that's the working title, like Jurassic City.
Yeah, sure. Jurassic Universe is the next step.
Oh Lord,
they're on Mars.
What?
right, so
Dinosaurs been there the whole time.
they go to Mars. It's the civilization of
See,
dinosaurs.
it's like the paleo accurate ones in there. They're like, what are these freaks back on Earth? It's clear they talk.
So, of
So
course, this
everybody.
plot I gave a bare bones, pun intended, breakdown of the plot with one of these bad boys, Spinosaurus Egypticus,
Of course. As you would.
Spinosaurus gigantus, the
Ooh.
unofficial name,
Of course.
chasing down a group of survivors on a ferry boat down the Nile. And I just went deeper and deeper and deeper with it, making
He's
my
been
own
on a
lore.
spiral.
So, as we know from the second movie, there was a hunter character. Let me see if I can pull up a picture. Roland, whose actor did sadly pass away.
Oh, R.I.P. People so sweet.
For real. Also, in his honor, I do have the same papers that he has.
Oh, he's a hardcore collector, everybody.
And I don't know where the T-Rex one is. No, that's Velociraptor. We don't want to look at Velociraptor. We want to look at T-Rex.
It's a Packy. Oh, hell.
Granted, it's not in color like his, but it's colorful enough to where it looks.
Hey,
like
it looks accurate to me, mate. If anything, it looks more colorful on yours.
Actually, it is. It's not the exact same one because it's just probably printed paper. So.
Oh, mate, it looks better, mate. His stuff's laminated and stuff. Your stuff looks good.
It's not quite laminated. I'm not that fancy.
Nah, he says Brian got a laminating machine. Who has a laminating machine anymore?
I do have access to one. I just don't know how.
He said, "I'll look into it for the next stream."
Different discussion for another day.
Nah, that's really cool, mate. That you have that. That's cool.
So, as we know, his actor did pass away from was it like cancer? Was it?
I couldn't even tell you. Unfortunately.
So for real, R.I.P. to him. He was an amazing character. So I decided to take it a step further and give him a son because, as we know, at the end of that movie, he wasn't dead.
True. And technically, that movie takes place in '97. And I mean, to be fair, me myself, I was born in '97. I am 27 now, which means, hey, 100%.
So, well, I'll grant he was like 30 then, so he would have been
absolutely
50 something. So, I mean, let's set the scene somewhere in Texas somewhere because I like to think that a big game hunter like him would retire somewhere.
Oh, absolutely. Well, I mean, he'd probably go up a mountain somewhere. Probably
in a mountain range somewhere. But
yeah, he don't want to be bothered by anybody or anything.
I feel like he would take his money, get a nice secluded cabin, find himself a woman, and just retire.
Well, he already lives in Africa somewhere there.
Well, I mean, not.
I can't think where it is now, but not anymore apparently.
So he's definitely somewhere else now. We won't get that dark. So I'd like to think that, I mean, his whole thing was like he's a big game hunter. So he hunted the biggest game, and he got that T-Rex, and he was like, "There's nothing else for me." And so he took his money and retired somewhere. He settled down, got a child, maybe some light hunting on whatever property they had. Taught his son how to hunt, taught him how to survive, things like that. Just a survival expert.
Of course.
And I didn't know what to name him, so I just went with Roland Jr. Because who needs to be an original?
Didn't want to name generate that one. Didn't want to put it into 50 names. Name generation.
Steve.
Could have been Ronnie. Tembo.
Ronnie
Jimmy
for
Tembo.
Short.
Oh, golly.
He kind of settled. He kind of picked up this love for military, for survival, for whatever. So he joined the military, and of course, I was like, okay. I was like, all right. So I didn't really know what to do with him then.
Yeah, where we go from there, right?
You can't do anything. So I kind of need him to retire.
Because technically they're already gone the military route with the Raptor training program in Jurassic World, and then look how well that turned out.
But he's kind of, so I was like, all right, that doesn't really make sense. But I was like, all right, I kind of like the military to give him that sharpshooter kind of edge because you can only get so far hunting.
Yeah,
so I did a really dark thing, and I had him kind of lose an arm in the military, so he didn't retire but he's kind of laid off because
He was discharged,
he's honorably discharged. Yes,
honorably discharged.
and so he kind of retires to Africa, to Egypt,
Mhm.
because he hears tale of the dinosaurs getting on the mainland and this dinosaur
Uh-huh.
being bigger than T-Rex.
Mhm.
For all you Spinosaurus fans and these edging Spinosaurus to kick out your head, be on the mainland.
Oh,
Here we
he's there.
go.
He's there. No more Manticore Island with somewhere. We don't know where.
Yeah, yeah, maybe a second Spinosaurus somewhere. Who knows?
Ooh,
Maybe
that'd be
Malta.
scandalous.
Maybe Malta was like, we found this
They're like,
Spinosaurus genus, and somebody
they're like,
cloned it like
hey,
an idiot.
we found this amber, or we took a little bit of sample from that first one, and we can make another one.
So basically, I mean, the movie kind of starts with them on the ferry boat, the main movie, I
Mhm.
guess I would say.
Mhm. So,
And they
so,
have all the passengers and stuff, and it's like a
of
nice
course,
little ferry cruise for a few minutes.
all
And,
the rich yacht people.
yeah, very, very generic. Okay, imagine any just rich Hollywood person in
Who doesn't
safari
know what to
getup
do? Yep, who doesn't know what to do in a scenario?
who would basically probably die if a Spinosaurus attacked them.
Oh, of
Um,
course.
that kind of thing. And I'd probably even have like a retired engine worker
Ooh,
just
there's
just
an
for just
interesting
for like
twist.
a single line to kind of really just like if you didn't get the connection between
Mhm.
Roland Jr.
Mhm.
other than the name and his father, where they'd like. So I named the
Originality
tour
checking.
guide Kyle because
Ooh, very nice. I like
I was
that.
like, yeah. Or did I name him like James or something? No, it's Kyle. Kyle. Where there'd be like maybe like a hippo or something where it kind of butts up against the edge of it, and they're like, everybody's like, oh no, what is that?
Oh,
And
you
he's
know what
like,
would be really cool? I just thought hippo. You're right. Hippo, the Nile, the crocodiles in the Nile. You know, it'd be really cool if, like, so for some reason, like the boat gets like swarmed by like a pack of hippos from all sides, and just before they start like running into it, they all just like disappear under the water and they run off. And you're like, oh, what
yeah.
could have scared them? The biggest predator, basically in,
But
in Egypt.
you
Wow,
get
that's
this
a
kind
good
of
idea.
little like one liner where the tour guide's like, they're all kind of like bumping up against the boat, and the boat's getting tossed around a little bit. And they're like, ah, don't worry. If anything really happens, we got our sharpshooter, Mr. Roland here. He'll keep us all safe. And this like engine worker in the crowd, he read the files. He's like, weren't you on Sorna?
Oh
Didn't
my
you didn't you
goodness.
take down a T-Rex? And I kind of drew that scene out a little bit
Yo, you
somewhere.
know what? I just had a
But
wild connection because that's what I do. You know what? It could have been the bloke who was talking about. You know what? It could have been the single sole surviving bloke from the SS Arcadia. Oh, not the Arcadia. Sorry, the SS Venture from the Lost World. The one bloke who managed to live on the boat when the Rex was brought to San Diego because he was there, bro. He was on he was part of the transport team that moved it, and they knew that Roland took him down. Oh, there we go. There's a
or
connection
yeah,
for us.
something like that, or something
Like
like
he's older
he's
now,
got
yeah,
this
and he's like,
connection. He's
"Oh,
he's
Roland."
like, hey man, you look different. You look
Yeah.
30 years younger.
You'd be like, "Oh, man of the same name." You'd be like, "Oh, yes, I believe you knew my
And this kind of
father."
like scene wherever you would kind of see the actors for like you'd see his face for the first time where he's just kind of sitting there and he's like he like laughs to himself and he's like, no, that's not me. That was my dad.
No,
I'm
that's
after
fun.
something bigger. And everybody's like,
Ooh.
what's going on? Why is he in Egypt then? Why is he on this tour guide then?
Yeah.
You
Well,
kind of
yeah,
get
it
this.
could have been very vaguely mysterious and would have been like, it's like, "What are you doing here? Hunting?" He's like, "What are you hunting?" Just doesn't answer. It's just like,
Yeah,
ooh.
he just kind of smiles at him.
Yeah, he's just behind his sunglasses, just sitting off to the
Just
side. He's just waiting.
just
He's just looking at the water, just never
just
looking
like
away.
hat
Yeah,
down,
yeah, yeah.
glasses on.
Yeah, 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 yeah. He's just scanning the water. He's
Eh,
not looking away. He's not engaging with the person. Oh, that'd be cool. I like
he
that.
doesn't engage with the people. He's like, that's the tour guide's job.
He's always
So
keep your eyes on the water. Oh, I love that.
then he gets this like scene where he notices all the hippos just like leave, like you said, or something like that. And he's just
Yeah.
like scanning the water very nervously, and everybody's like, what's got him scared?
Hmm.
He's like the BA of the group. What's got him scared?
And
He
what's
said,
got him
no, I
all?
don't
What's
mean
got him worked
bachelors of
up?
art. When I say BA, I don't
Oh.
mean bachelors of art for anybody thinking that. So you get this idea where it's like the tour guide where he's got all these navigational ideas, and that's kind of his role. Where basically then the just whole boat gets attacked.
Oh.
It's starting to become night, so it's got this fiery red sky, and the
Oh, I like that.
Cretaceous
That
rips the
sunset.
boat apart. in it.
Oh, and this is
But
one of
you
those
don't
big
quite
fairy
see
ones
it.
where like the Spino could like kind of stand on the back of it and kind of claw its way up, and like its weight would crush it. Oh, that'd be cool.
Or I was just thinking like maybe like a smaller boat, and you don't
Oh, you
quite
think like a
see
little
the
tug or something?
Spinosaurus yet,
Oh, that's interesting
and
as
we don't
well.
kind of hint at Spinosaurus yet. And it
Mm.
just kind of sinks the boat, and you'd have this scene where the tour guide, because I would probably make the tour guide one of the like the main character where you just kind of follow him the whole time,
Yeah, the one of the two.
and then he's kind of under the water, like what's going on,
Yeah, he's
and
swimming
then you
under there. You
just
can
see
kind of
like
see
this giant monster just swing
swim
by
past
and
him.
pick up
Oh, that'd
4
be
or 5
cool.
people,
Like
and
the
so
drift coming off him, just like swings the young rolling around. Oh, that'd be cool.
yeah, and
I
so
like
you
that.
kind of follow the tour guide under the water where he just beelines it for shore.
Yeah. While he's seeing like other people in the background getting like picked off, like just almost
Yeah.
kind of like a bird, like not like even like swimming and it's like crunching down. It's just like no, just like sitting in one spot and just picking them off as they're swimming around on the
Yeah.
surface. That'd be
And so
cool.
and so he makes it to shore and he doesn't see anything. The water's
Nah,
just like a
it's
thin
it's
shade of
pitch black at
red.
that point. Yeah, it's like pitch black and
It's
almost
just
red
dark.
then.
It's like a slight tint red maybe. And it's him,
Ooh.
Roland Jr., and then 3 other rich people. They don't matter. You'll
Oh, they
you'll see
do
why
though.
later. They're
Those would
cannon.
be.
They're literally cannon fodder.
Oh
In
no.
fact, I'm thinking about making I would make one of them just like as annoying as possible, always complaining, just like my
Uh-oh.
feeder. You're the
Yeah, I'd be
tour
like, how
guide.
dare you? We're
Just
20
basically like
miles up the river. Call
the
someone. It's like your
generic
phone was lost away.
Karen.
Oh boy.
And
Oh
always
boy,
complaining, I
everybody.
want a refund. Let me speak to your manager. And just so that like inevitably when Spinosaurus eats her, you're like, oh my god.
No. Relatability.
You're
Eric,
like,
we
you're
have
like,
to you're gonna
finally,
pull
geez,
another
man.
you're gonna pull another Amanda Kirby on us. You can't have that. Oh,
But
this is
this
great.
version of Amanda Kirby dies.
Well, there you go, everybody. Everybody
They're like,
wins in the end, it sounds like.
they're like, oh no, that lady.
You'd be like, well, you'll be
All right,
even
we need to get out of
wilder.
here.
Yeah,
Wrap it up.
it'd be even wilder. Is that like like the young Roland bloke? He kind of tells her like, "Oh look, stand over here, you'll be safe," and he kind of uses her as like bait to draw the Spino out of the water. Oh, that'd be
Yeah,
wild.
well, he's kind of like leading the charge. He's like first in charge. So
It's
of
like if you
course I
want
was
to
like,
survive, you
okay,
listen to me.
then he probably needs a gun. So I was like, all right, he probably has some custom gun that he can use with one arm. Just
Maybe,
I don't know.
maybe.
It's possible. I've seen people use guns with one arms. It's
Oh, for
possible.
sure, for sure.
You can totally get some like a big enough rifle to cause damage to probably a bear, but still use it with one arm.
Christ,
I
I
don't
wouldn't
know.
want to see the kickback on that one.
He's muscular, yeah. So he's fine.
So how does it go in the middle? So the boat's sunk. They've got 3 people
The
maybe
boat
left
sunk. So
alive,
so they
spare.
so they
What are
then we
their
got like
goals?
this
Where they gotta
tour
go?
guide guy, and he's like pulls up a map of Egypt, and he's like, all right, we got Luxon, whatever that southern city down the Nile
Hmm.
is.
Of course.
He's like, all right,
We
we're
gotta
too
get
far
there.
from there. We won't make it until like
Nope.
4 weeks or whatever,
Wow.
some drastic thing like that. He's like, but we
Yeah.
are closer to Cairo, so
Right.
we'll have to hike to Cairo. Then they figure out they're on the wrong side of
Yeah,
the
the
Nile
wrong
from
side of the
Cairo.
Nile. Yeah, they have to cross it at some point. Ooh, that'd be
Yeah,
spooky. I
so
like
they're
that.
marching up the Nile, and
Hmm.
then they come across this like dig site. This like,
Ooh.
and they're like, what is all this stuff? And
Yeah, it's like a privately funded dig site, not even like a public
yeah,
thing people know about.
and
Ooh, I like that.
they come across this lone dude on the dig site. And they're like, hey, what you doing out here? It's
Yeah.
not safe to be out here. And they're all torn up and ripped up and all beat up and covered in mud and blood and water. And he's like,
Oh my
what
god.
happened to y'all? Are y'all okay? And and you see this like oddly familiar character, and you're
Hmm.
like, I kind of recognize him. And
Oh.
they're like, yeah, there's something big out here. We haven't got a good view of it. And this kid is like, well, what attacked you? And they pans over to like these fossils, and Roland's like, that, and it's just Spinosaurus. It's
Can
just
see that
Spinosaurus
happening.
fossils, and he's like, that, and the kid's
Mm.
like, the only place this exists is Sorna, and that kind
Mm.
of catches Roland's like attention. He's like, wait, how would you know about that? And the kid's like, oh, hey, I'm Eric Kirby, by the way. So you get this kind of reveal where he's like, so I kind of had this idea with him. So when he got back, he was like, okay, I want to know what that thing was that attacked me. I'm going to learn about that. And so part of like his trauma healing is like, okay, I'm going to learn about this thing that tormented me.
Trying to understand the thing that because remember he mentions the Spino as like a fun little side mention in the movies. Like, it's like we talk about the T-Rex, please, like keeps some of the smaller ones away, but attracts one really big one with a fin.
Yeah.
So it's like, that could be good.
So and then like as they get chased down like by the Spinosaurus throughout the movie, I mean that's so part of his like trauma healing or whatever is he's like, all right, I want to learn about this thing and I want to learn that like I want to learn about it. So he goes and gets his bachelor's in science and paleontology, and because he thinks that they're still all on the islands and he doesn't want to go back to the islands. So he moves to Egypt and his parents are probably in jail. He gets some kind of weird trust fund from them, whatever. I don't know. He inherits the shop, sells the shop, makes enough money, and goes. Sure. It doesn't matter. All I'm just saying is he's in Egypt now. So he's like, what? These things don't exist on the mainland. And then he like looks over towards the Nile and he just sees a fin and he's like, oh.
Starts freaking out, big eyes wide.
He's like, oh, not again, not again. And this is like you hear this like faint sound of Spinosaurus in the background, and you're like, uh-oh. And it's I'd probably have it to where they're all looking at him, and the fin would be in the background behind him, and he's like, what? And he turns around, then he sees it. And then they just like beeline it. They just go. I'd probably have one of the rich people be killed off here. Like Spinosaurus jumps on land. And
the trust fund kids.
Rips him into the water or something. They're like, no, not Billy. Whatever I named him, Jason,
not
Jimmy,
breaded.
Something.
Not money pockets.
And so he kind of Eric would play a vital role where he kind of knows about Spinosaurus. He knows how it's more croc-like. So
he's been adapting to one he once lived along near one for 8 weeks. Yeah.
Him and the alligator guy, or not alligator guy, Steve, Richard Irwin, the tour guide guy. They kind of can combine their knowledge. So I'd have like a scene where they're like crossing the Nile and the Spinosaurus is like right next to them the whole time. But they're doing it in like a fashion where like they kind of don't alert it.
Ooh.
They're slowly getting across, and eventually they come across this like, I don't know. I was like gas station, but I was like, I don't think there's any gas stations down there.
I was about to say, maybe not on the Nile. Oh, well, maybe a boat refueling station. Yeah,
that's what I was saying, like a boat refueling station kind of thing. And I'm like, I something like that. Yeah. And so they're like, okay, maybe we can rest here or something. And early on, I'd probably have a scene kind of showing how big or dangerous the Spinosaurus is, where they were like walking to this boat refueler. They're like, oh, that's a saltwater crocodile. Maybe that's what's stalking us, or something early on before they really know that it's Spinosaurus. And they're like, the tour guide guy's like, don't get close to it. That thing will rip you in two with minimal effort. That thing will rip you to shreds, and it's this massive gator, and it just gets dragged into the water and ragdolled around a little bit, and then the water just turns blood red, and they're like,
yeah.
All right, we're going to keep moving because we don't know what that thing is.
Just nobody even speaks. Just kind of watch it for a second and just kind of start turning away.
I'd probably do a little shout out, probably really evil to the, I think it was like Gus the alligator or whatever, where it like was so big it like terrorized an entire village.
Yeah, that's what they be doing
along the Nile. So something like that, where it's like he's like, oh, this thing could rip apart a village and with no due time, and he's kind of building this big old alligator up just for it to be dragged into the water. And so, again, go across, meet Kirby, get to the boat refuelery, and they're just kind of resting there. And then like they like come across the Spinosaurus like sleeping.
What?
Wakes up
ahead.
It like him up ahead or something.
Wow. Okay.
Kind of meet it up ahead, and
you know what? Little nodded mention there to the Raph scene when they're in the Jurassic Park novel, where like the Rex is sleeping on the dock right next to the thing they need. So yeah, I like that. That.
Or maybe not necessarily sleeping, but maybe it's like eating a hippo or it's eating something there.
Cool. Right here, seeing like a Spino eating a hippo on the side of the Nile. That would just even that, mate. That sold me enough on the movie for that.
Yeah, and they kind of like round a corner and they just see it like eating a hippo between these giant
just there
or something. They're like,
That'd be
He kind of
cool.
slowly looks at him like, "Sup?" He's just
It's just like, oh yeah, hi you, I
like,
remember you
"Oh."
lot.
He's like, "Oh, Meal on Wheels."
Yeah.
And so they basically just got to leave, and Roland's sitting there unloading on it, and its bullets aren't really doing much, and
No,
hitting
nothing.
the fin, maybe the face, maybe hits the
Mhm.
eye or something. That kind of makes the Spinosaurus be like, "All right, now I'm going to kill you."
Yeah, it's like, boy, you blinded me. What did I do to you? I
Or
only destroyed your entire cruise.
yeah, and it hits one of the gas tanks, and it just sets off a fire or something. Because I'm gonna be honest, in Jurassic
Dude, the
Park 3, I really like the scene where the Spinosaurus is standing in the lake of fire.
nah, really?
That was a cool scene. I'm not even
You
gonna
don't
lie. I mean,
say.
who doesn't like that scene?
I
So
mean,
it's
of
the kind
course.
of thing where they're like on the Nile on the shore with this just fire everywhere. Roland is trapped in kind of like a ring of fire with this Spinosaurus, and he's finally got his like wish where he's like, "All right, now I got to fight this thing." And he just starts shooting at, unloading at it while it's like slowly walking at him, kind of just annoyed that these little bullets are hitting him in the face and the body and stuff. And and like it like the pans over to the group, and the last thing they see of Roland is like fire and smoke and him screaming and the Spinosaurus roaring at him. Not even like a frightened scream, like just like pure screams of enjoyment and excitement. Him like taunting the Spinosaurus, like, he's like, get your ass over here, you big old lizard. And he's just shooting at it. And he's like
Yeah, we can come up with a working catchphrase.
something like it. Like he's like,
You filthy animal. We can
yeah,
come up with something.
something. I'll rewatch Jurassic Park 2 and think of something.
You
I'll
damn
probably
big
make a
lizard.
whole video with me just breaking down this movie
You,
idea.
you, know, you know what's gonna happen. You know what's gonna happen just to cement the fact that he's bloody Roland's son. You gotta have him mirror
Yeah.
the famous line that he says when he's like, "Oh, you're breaking our hearts. Saddle up. Let's get this movable feast underway." He's gonna say
Yeah,
that to
something
the
like that
surprises.
along the way
You
or something.
gotta do that.
I'll
You
have
know
him
you
drop
gotta do
like
that.
Roland one-liners.
Of course.
Eh, But also, I would have it to where like the last thing you see of him in this scene is like smoke falls over and you hear like the Spinosaurus roar, maybe like a splash of water or something, and you're like, is he dead? Is he gone?
Yeah.
And so it's like this group, and they're like later on, it's literally like Eric Kirby and the tour guide. It's just them, and they're like,
Just those two left. Like
they're
like
like,
the like
"Wow."
Roland went down fighting with the Spinosaurus, and it turned out he's still alive.
Yeah, and then, like later on, they're like maybe in like some like jungly swamp part, and they're like, "God, we don't have anybody left. I don't." The tour guide's losing hope. He's like, "I don't know if we'll make it to Cairo." And
I
Kirby's
reckon.
like,
I
"I
reckon.
didn't."
Yeah.
He's like, "I didn't
Yeah.
survive this long for you to let us die in the woods. We're making it to
Yeah.
Cairo."
I was gonna say, I imagine that bloody Eric would be like thriving in that kind of environment, mate. He'd be like,
Yeah,
"Oh, bro, I've survived by myself with dinosaurs before,
and
bro."
it's like these bushed area, and he hears this rustle, and he's like, "Oh God!" And
And
he
he's
sees
like,
this
"Wait a minute."
raptor-like dinosaur, like jolt across,
Ooh, now here's the
and then
thing. What species would that be? Would that be a Baharisaurus? What would that be? Because we
I
do only Spino for the whole film, or is that like we saving that for another movie?
I would probably have like because this is just like a generic raptor-like dinosaur, so probably like
Hmm.
Coelophysis or something,
Or
maybe smaller.
Ceriosaurus, actually.
That would
Or
work too.
Segisaurus, the one that
Cid-
recently added to Jurassic World Evolution 2 for everybody pro
Cidrosaurus, that
fan
would
there.
work too.
Yeah.
Something that's just raptor-like,
Hmm.
because you get this scene where Eric Kirby like he pulls out the raptor resignation chamber, and everybody's
Hmm.
like, he has one of those because he like
You still
install it.
got that?
And he made his own or something. I don't know. Maybe he asked Grant for it, and Grant was like, "You know
Yeah,
what,
maybe.
dude?
You know what? You know what? Weirdly enough, I could see them doing that. I could see Grant being like,
I could."
"Here, here, this is something to remember us by when they all split up." Oh, that'd be crazy. Like he gives him the resonating chamber. That'd just be
Grant
big. But
signs it.
yeah,
He
you
signs
think
it
you
to
would
his
give it,
phone number. He's like, "Call me,
yeah,
kid. We have shared trauma now."
bro? That's why him and Billy don't talk anymore. That's why he wasn't in Dominion
I
because he's like, "You gave away my rapid prototyper."
yeah. I really feel like Grant would have liked. He kind of. I feel like he kind of likes kids now.
Oh, of course.
He
That
definitely
was his
likes
whole arc
kidnapping
in
the
the
first
first
movie,
movie.
and especially since Eric kind of saved his life
Well,
in
that's
the
his whole
movie.
arc in the first movie. By the end of the movie, he's in the helicopter and he's like smiling at the two kids. He's like, "Nah, I've gone through
So
character change."
so I feel like
And they
maybe
keep going
having
through it.
this like scene where it's like you can tell it was the one that Grant had,
Uh-huh.
and you're like, oh, that's cool, and he like blows into it, and these animals kind of just like stare at him. They're like, what? And then you think it's going to work for a second, and then one like roars at him, and you're like, oh, wait, crap, that's not Velociraptor. They don't know what he's saying.
Yeah. Or like it works the opposite way, like it scares them away instead of like having them like communicate and work together. That'd be interesting.
They're like confused by it. They're not quite like communicating. They're just like confused, and he's like blown into it, thinking he's doing something. And you'd have like one of them nip at him or something. He's like, "Oh wait, this isn't doing anything." And then they realize they're in this like this kill circle, and they're like, "Oh crap,
oh boy!"
And then you just see like one of them you just hear like a gunshot go off, and one of them just fall over, and you're like, "What just happened? Are they saved?" And then you just from the shadows, you just see Roland Jr. tattered, ripped apart, and he's like,
"Jesus Christ!"
He's like covered in blood and covered in mud.
He's back again.
Take more than that to kill me. He's like limping on his gun.
So he's just using his gun for a leg.
I kind of grew an attachment to the character. I was like, I can't kill him off. And so, like this, like the scene where they're just like, "How did you survive?" And he just reaches in his pocket and pulls out like a Spinosaurus tooth.
Oh, one of us walked away.
Like, no way you killed that thing.
Ain't no goddamn way.
And then they're just kind of walking later on, maybe through like a marsh area, and they see some lovely herbivores, and they get a little peace. They finally reach the gates of Cairo, and you get this like bittersweet scene where they turn around, where Roland turns around and looks down the Nile. It's slowly becoming day. You got sunrise to kind of give you this like hopeful day feeling, and you just see like the outline of Spinosaurus swimming down the Nile and you hear like a distant roar, and he just kind of smiles at it. And it kind of gives you that idea where you're like, okay,
I like that. Yeah,
this dude he's a BA, but he's not like a tank.
We've earned each other's respect. You know, we earned each other's respect through mutual destruction.
Yeah, where they kind of. You see, like, Roland, he has, like, scars down his back. I kind of drew the scene where he was fighting it in the fire a little bit.
I like that.
He's just kind of, like, standing toe-to-toe with it. If you can
everybody getting exclusive storyboards here, so everybody pay attention.
Oh, don't worry. I'll end up doing a whole episode based on this.
I'm glad, man, honestly.
This is 4 episodes of content right in this journal.
Yeah, absolutely, man. And this is only bloody movie 1 to everybody listening at home. He told me something crazy the other night. He said he got 4 of these boys
right
planned.
Now. I got 4 down.
4 movie pitches planned. It's crazy.
Yeah. And so you kind of get this like in scene where he's talking to the tour guide because like they're kind of buddy. I mean, and the tour guide kind of makes a light quip where he's like, "Hey, you didn't quite finish your contract or something." Or like he's like jokingly like, "Man, if we get a bigger boat, we can go hunt that thing."
Jesus Christ.
And Roland just kind of looks at him and he's like, "I've spent enough time in the company of death."
You said the line, everybody.
And they're all like exhausted, so of course they're walking into Cairo all bloodied and beaten, and they're talking to the people, and maybe they just leave and that's the end of the movie or something, or maybe it ends with like you see like the tour guide guy walking Roland back to his cabin, and you just see in the distance like a tree with like an unmarked grave under it, kind of give a little RIP to that to the original Roland.
That's wild, man. That's crazy.
Again, work in progress. I'll probably go into.
He's like 10% through all the plot, guys. Don't worry. He needs to come up with the dialogue next, but that'll be easy.
Yeah. I'll think of something. Have some generic dialogue. So I mean,
he'll have a script for the next one.
Yeah, I'll have a full script.
He says, "Not me, mate. Not this quick. Jesus."
Hey, I'll take as long as I need with this one.
Yeah,
I already got from Dan. I already got the green light for my next one. If you want to talk about one of your movies.
Oh man, look, we better not get me started just yet. I mean, I'll start and I won't be able to stop, mate. I want to hear about this sequel of yours. That's the thing. So, how do you follow up the clearly blockbuster success of this? Although I do have one question. I was wondering throughout the whole thing, and maybe some of the people in the audience listening were as well. And that is that this Spinosaurus that's following them, right? Is it the same exact one from Jurassic Park 3, or is it potentially a new, more like kind of like a Biosyn, like not made by Biosyn, but like Biosyn, like inspired, like technically more quote unquote paleo accurate version? It's the one with like the big amphibious tail. It's a new model. It's bigger. It's different. So it's not the same Spino that, from the 3rd movie, but it's the same sort of structure.
Mistaken, the one from the 3rd movie is on Manticore Island.
Yeah, that's correct.
That is the same one.
That is the same one.
Even though actually looking at their models, they have
Yeah, one
slight
of them's like,
differences,
it's
but like,
brown now, it's all burnt and stuff like that. I was like, guys, that's just because it's been living in the sun, man. It's just
yeah,
been living under the
who
bloody
knows?
sun. It's brown now.
Because
It's cooked. It's older now, bro. It's literally 13 years
Spinosaurus
older than the
most
last time we
definitely did
saw
not live in a desert, but we'll talk about
it.
that later.
Well, hey, man,
I would
in the
probably have it
Egypt.
since that one's on Manticore Island,
Yeah. And
and I don't.
his thing, how do you get DNA from that one if it's locked up on Manticore Island? They, like you said, they would have probably have had to have found like some kind of
Oh,
new,
so yeah,
like,
that could be like
mhm.
a line from Eric Kirby where he's like, "Yeah, I've been sending fossil samples from this thing to a company called Biosyn,"
Ooh,
and
that could be us, or some like mystery third party. It's like one of those like black
like
market
he's like,
smugglers. So
"Yeah,
there's no
I've had this."
record.
He's just like talking or something. He's like, "Yeah, I've had this guy. He's just really been interested in buying the fossils that I find.
Yeah,
I don't really know.
private
Maybe,
collector. I thought it was just a private collector, and that's what
yeah,
it
and
is. And it's like technically his
I'll
fault
probably
for
have
moving
it so
things around.
that none of them, maybe like the tour guides, since they're kind of so close to Italy. Egypt's not
Hmm.
Egypt like here, or like I guess it'd be
Yeah, I mean, technically, think
Italy's
about it.
like
An
here.
accurate, paleo accurate, quote unquote, Biosyn bloody Spinosaurus. I mean, you think Dodson wouldn't want to do that?
Maybe
Because
not 100% paleo accurate because
no,
I do
no,
I
no,
do
no, no,
you got
no,
to
no,
stay
no.
faithful to the design a little bit.
Exactly, and on top of that, like, I mean, I was going to get into that in my own story, little proposed plot in a little bit, but
Any new
basically,
species that I introduce would definitely be paleo accurate, but
ooh, careful now, careful now, Eric, man, that's a slippery slope
or
there.
maybe not any new species, but like some of the newer species, maybe. Who
Hmm.
knows? But Spinosaurus would, since they've kind of already given it its design, maybe I'd have it quadrupedal sometimes. Maybe have like a
Quadrupedaling with like a thicker tail,
thicker
like so, like
tail,
that,
maybe a little bit
like
more of a
aquatic
parent.
tail. Yeah, the aquatic
So
thing.
it could be that they had some sample from some ancient sample from Sorna or something later
Or
on.
yeah, like you said, like they're in Egypt, and that's
Because
the idea. They've dug up new fossil segments or
so they
something,
get this
ground up the
kind of
bones.
combination of like actual Spinosaurus with some like filled in DNA from like the Spinosaurus from
Exactly.
Sorna. So
Well, yeah,
it's
because
not
here's the thing as
accurate, but
well.
it's not. Well,
Yeah,
no, it'd just be
because
an.
here's the thing.
It'd still be an.
If you had to splice in like new DNA to make it as accurate as possible, what animal would you combine it with to make it like the traits of like a modern day kind of animal to kind of fill in that proposed like missing gaps in their genome, right? I'm not talking just like frogs, right? Like to make it more accurate. Think about it. If it's more crocodilian, like, would you put in like a Nile crocodile
Yeah, probably some
DNA
like
into it?
crocodile DNA, maybe like a sailfish because of the sail. Who knows?
Oh, there
Something.
you go. I like that. I like that.
Yeah. And then let's like I don't know, maybe as a baby it escaped from Biosyn Valley through like a sewer grate or something.
Well, I mean, yeah, that's sort of the whole idea. I've in another pod, I've gone on to detail to say that like I don't believe any animals have escaped from biosyn. I imagine that if even like the Ceratops, for instance, right? Like if that creature was created by biosyn, and then the 2018 breakout happens, I reckon biosyn could have intentionally been flooding certain areas and releasing certain creatures out into the wild to fuel the problem to make InGen look worse, and then they swoop in and like white knights in armor trying to bloody save the problem. Like they sort of like intentionally make things worse to make them better. And I'm like, that
Yeah.
is a beautiful angle.
Or who knows? Maybe a group of poachers or something made their way into Biosyn Valley sometime, and they found
True. And
this little lizard or something, and they're like, "Oh, look at this tiny little thing!" And then turns
look at
out to
this
be
little
a Spinosaurus, and then
look at this little shit.
it ages
Yeah.
like Bumpy, and they're like,
So
"Oh
here's
my god!"
oh god, oh lord, that'd be crazy. So here's my thing as well, right? So when would this take place in terms of the Jurassic timeline?
It would probably be after Biosyn,
After Dominion.
after Dominion,
Ooh. Wow.
or maybe like Deering or something. So there's still dinosaurs on the mainland, and they're not
Of
like,
course, because no matter what, it means it has to be after 2018.
or
That's
like
the idea. Or could it be closer to? Could it be 2019? What do you think?
it would be right before. It would either be like a couple months before Biosyn, like
Hmm.
the events of Dominion, or just like anytime after that. It would just be generically placed there.
He says, "I'm working out the kinks. We're still figuring it out."
We're still trying to find dinosaurs on the mainland. Kind
See,
of.
that's what he's got me for, everybody.
You see,
I'm the bloke who helps iron out the details.
I went with the
Yeah,
whole dinosaur on the mainland thing, and just like
of
was like,
course.
you can work with this. There's so many
Yeah,
cool stories you can.
yeah. There's so many places you can take the story, and that's what they're doing in the official movie now. They're going to Thailand. They're going back to Malta. Like they're doing
Yeah, I
things in
mean,
different locations, and I'm excited for that.
and actually, surprisingly enough, there hasn't been a movie in Britain.
There hasn't been a movie in Australia either. Let me tell you that.
I'm telling you, there hasn't really been a movie anywhere in Europe except for Italy. So
And also like we're kind of giving them too little credit because it's like they literally only just got off the islands in 2018.
Yeah, so
So
it's
like they haven't
literally
had a
the
chance
first
to.
movie after the island.
Yeah, of course.
Well,
Absolutely.
I guess no, technically Fallen Kingdom.
Well, that's the idea, I suppose. You only take them to California, so makes sense.
But so the next movie had this idea. Well, I still don't quite know which name to pick.
The sequel, everybody. You know what? That's the beautiful part, mate. You leave it up
And
to
it
your
has
fans. You say the
nothing to
name and
do
you
with
let
the
them know.
first movie.
Oh,
Has
nothing at
to do-
all.
No, I went with
It's not
a
a sequel.
completely new idea. I'm still questioning if I should have Knights Hunter or Dungeons as like the name.
Oh, you hear that, everybody?
I'm rolling with Dungeons because it sounds cooler, in my opinion.
Oh my god, this one, guys, I have not heard anything about. Run me through it, Eric, from start to
So
finish.
so I already got the green light from Dan after I told him about it because it has Ceratosaurus as like the main dinosaur.
Son of a bitch. Oh, Dan, what have you done?
So there's this sport in God, I forgot if it's Germany or England, but it's basically where people like build their own armor and build their own weapons, and they basically just like act like knights, and that's the whole sport.
LARPing.
Armored combat tournaments.
Oh shit, never mind. Yep, that's right.
LARPing. It is a little bit LARPing.
I mean, well, LARPing's what you pretend.
Yeah, so it's after like an armored combat tournament, like a group of people, the people that were participating. Their names are going to be Arthur, of course, because King Arthur. Why not?
Of course. Of course.
Martin and Lance. Martin is the kind of standout one. I'm like,
working on it.
And I had like Lance and Arthur because I was like, okay, I need to give them like some like middle-aged names if I'm going down this route. So they're basically going to be in like knight armor and have like swords and crap the whole movie, just to be like,
I like that. That's cool, like a modern day Bloody Galahad Knight scenario, yeah.
Yeah, and so they're kind of like walking home in their gear. Maybe they lost, maybe they won. I don't know. It doesn't really matter. Maybe they're celebrating a little bit and they're not paying attention, or they're just like,
maybe they're a little drunk, Ooh,
yeah, maybe just a wee bit drunk, and they're like talking to each other. Maybe they lost. I'll probably go with their loss because they're not quite paying attention. They're too busy focusing on the match, how they could have done better. And so like maybe they're walking through like a valley or something, maybe like a little forest area. Maybe I'll make it take place in Germany because Germany has more woods than Britain.
Fun fact, actually, according to the trivia on Jurassic World Evolution 2, Germany has apparently had strict genetic modification prohibit laws, and they can only support herbivore creatures there. So maybe this Carnotaurus is an aberration. That's why they get so like surprised that it's there, because it's like, oh, there's not supposed to be any carnivores here.
Yeah, maybe
that's a cool idea.
And so I just well, actually, I did Ceratosaurus, but I decided to make Ceratosaurus like a pack animal a little bit.
What?
So it's like 2 or 3 Ceratosaurus, and they're like stalking the group, and they're like they like keep hearing rustling, and they don't think anything of it, and then they hear this like roar, and they're like, "What is that?" And they got like this Ceratosaurus that kind of like jump them a little bit. They like charging at him. So you got this like dude with a bow and arrow. You got this dude with like a halberd, like a giant axe, like a dude with a sword, and they're like, okay, what are we doing? And they start kind of like whacking him a little bit. The Ceratosaurus
trying to splash
at
him. But this thing's like way bigger than them.
So Arthur, the like main guy, the like leader, he's kind of like,
yeah. So surely they all die.
leader traits. Then there's like this dude Lance, where he's got this like heavy armor. He's like a silent dude.
Oh boy,
he's like this big brute kind of guy. And then you have Martin, the ranger. So he's like, he's quick thinking. He's like quips. He drops all these quips and stuff. So he's basically just like, I don't know what's going on. So I'd have this scene where one of the Ceratosaurus kind of bites at the Lance dude, and he's just like puts up his spear thing, and he's like trying to like hold it off, maybe up against.
Oh, that sounds cool.
And he kind of like whack it to the side or something. And so they basically just like take off because they're being chased by these things.
Mm-hmm.
And they're like, we don't know what's going on. And so maybe they come across like this nest or something, and they're like, they see it's been disturbed, and they realize it's the Ceratosaurus nest. And they're like,
uh-oh.
You're like, oh, wait. They realize that they're not being hunted.
Yeah.
Because somebody was messing with their nest. They stole their eggs.
They think it's them. Oh, okay, I like that. Kind of like the gray wolf with Liam Neeson.
Because I'm having like Lance kind of be like the silent type, and you can tell that he like he hates it. He hates poachers. This kind of like thing. So he's like, you can tell like he's like angry, but he's still silent. And so like the Ceratosaurus come back to the nest thinking that they're like more poachers or something, and they're like, but then they kind of like look over and they see this like Lance, this like animal loving dude, and he's like actually like furious that like somebody would do this, and the Ceratosaurus kind of like chill a little. They're like, wait, what's going on? And so they kind of check him out, and they hear poachers in the background, and they like see like a little like row of them, maybe like 2 or 3. And the Ceratosaurus like realize that there's like a difference between them, that like not all people are evil like this.
So the shiny ones are good, and the not shiny ones are not.
Yeah,
good.
pretty much. Making like therapeutics, where they're like, oh, maybe
these weird metal smelling ones are okay.
Yeah. And so you get this kind of like plot of like a group of Ceratosaurus and these like dudes in knight armor are taking out like a poacher base.
Whoa,
so
that's brilliant.
That night they like plan out their like plan of attack, and they go and like charge in the base. You got like this dude with a giant halberd like whack a poacher and like
what? That's crazy.
You got like this dude from a tree shoot a guy with an arrow while like a Ceratosaurus runs to their base and rips them apart.
Jesus, I like the sound of that. Yeah, that's
you kind of get this like end of it where they kind of like befriend the Ceratosaurus, but they're still like wild animals. So they're like, okay, let's not test our luck.
Another understanding.
Where they get like the Ceratosaurus back their eggs, they give them back their eggs. Maybe they release some other dinosaurs, maybe a Pachycephalosaurus, maybe.
Oh, that's cool. I like that.
Some other dinosaurs in the general area. Just
of course.
Whatever. They release them. They break open their cage and stuff, and so they get this like little thing. And maybe there's like this scene where we're first introduced to this subsection of the. Well, I can't even. I don't remember all the abbreviations. The DPW. Where you see these like dudes with like DPW patches, and they like kind of like come across the group after the Ceratosaurus leave with their eggs, and they're like, "What happened here?" And they start telling them everything, and you get this like honorary member patch or something that they hand the group, and they're like, "You see anything else like this? You give us a call," or something like that. And it kind of that's the end of the movie. They're kind of this makeshift ragtag team that's now. Like lopers in the DPW.
The Dino Knights.
Yeah.
Oh, damn.
A little joke squadron.
Yeah.
And they have
what is this? Some kind of suicide squad?
That is something like that. Some stupid line like this, and they're like,
oh, it's beautiful.
Some like stupid thing like that.
I like that. Now
this movie was kind of like this sounds cool, but it's also a joke at the same time.
Well, you know what these are really starting to sound like, mate. These feel like these could be genuinely like a little what are they called? Little like anthology, little like a mini series. That's what this could be. Like you could genuinely do this. The world. Yeah, and that's the thing, because you're right. Then they don't have to connect to each other. They're just like, because I mean, I don't know if you've ever seen Star Wars Visions, but it's just like a bunch of different animation studios making their own things, stories that don't connect to anything else, and they're just there. It's like, dude, that's what you could do.
Do you remember those Star Wars movies? It was like animated but hand drawn, but it was between I want to say the second and the third movie.
The Clone Wars, my boy. Yeah, Samurai Jack. Yeah, man, I was there for it.
Something
I was
like,
actually there.
Something like that, and I'm really glad you like Samurai Jack.
Bro, I know. I know all about it, me. Don't worry about it.
Back to the past, man. I grew up with Samurai Jack.
Jesus Lord, it's so good, so good. But yeah, no, they could definitely be like a little anthology series and that sort of stuff. Man, I would love to see that. Are you kidding?
If anybody from Universal is watching, I got a phone number. I also got an Instagram account. So
link in the description of the video.
Definitely.
We're all out in looking for new movies, and everybody knows it.
And I'd kind of I'm gonna move on to the third movie again. Just hack and slash new movie. Maybe it would connect to the first movie somehow. Maybe I'd have like.
Oh, we're finally doing a sequel.
Roland Jr. Maybe be some like background character. Maybe have him show up a little bit.
Yeah, you're doing like a Malcolm thing. Like he's kind of leading his own film. Well, no, he was leading the first film.
Yeah, but I mean,
no, he's mentioned or referenced. Who knows? You'll figure it out.
Maybe his events of his movie. They're like, yeah, there was a dude on the Nile who fought a Spinosaurus. We got those to deal with now. Maybe it has like
Referenced, of
people talking
course.
about dinosaurs that they have to go find and capture or whatever. They're like, yeah, there's apparently a Spinosaurus on the Nile found by some dude named Roland Jr. and have like one of the workers be like, oh, his like poacher dad or something. Have like
Call
this,
him Ricardo.
yeah. So this movie is like more in the main timeline. I'm calling it Jurassic World Rescue,
Okay.
which
All
actually
right.
sounds more like a video game than a movie.
It does, doesn't it? Yeah.
But it would probably take place with like, I'd probably have it after Dominion whenever poachers are more prevalent.
Yeah, because they're like the leading force after that film. Because the
Yeah,
biggest genetic
poachers are
company
way
in the
more
world just kind of
prevalent.
went under.
And I would have it where Blue is like taken, where there's like a group of poachers in that northwest of North America, and they're like, the Velociraptor, we ain't got none of those. Go grab
Not
it.
up here.
They go and take Blue and Beta or something. And so Owen's
Doing that
like,
again. No.
Owen's like, where's Blue? What's going on? And so he goes to the DPW where he's like, hey, I don't know what's going on, but Blue the Velociraptor, she's missing.
My raptor's run off. It's like,
She's
you want a
gone.
raptor?
And they're like, Owen, we'll take care of you. We'll find it out. We'll send out our elite squad. And he's like, why haven't I heard of this? And they basically are just like the SEAL Team 6 of DPW.
Wow.
So this retired SWAT, CIA agent, whatever. I'm calling him Rex Connors.
Rex Connors, huh? I like that.
Connors,
oh my goodness.
I
like Connors. No, Connors. I like Connors. I like Connors a lot. I like that one.
Rex feels like a good first name for anybody in the Jurassic universe.
You say that. And yeah,
Yet
I agree with you.
Anybody.
I agree with you, but also here's the thing: if critics were watching that movie, you'd think they'd be like, "Oh, it's a little on the nose. That's a little too forward thinking." It's like, well, what else are you gonna call him, huh? What else are you gonna call him?
It's just kind of like, shut up a little bit. We're having fun.
It's like guys. We know.
The name's the worst part about this. And so they're part of the DPR, which is a subsection of the DPW, which is the Department of Prehistoric Rescue. And their whole thing is that they find poacher camps and they go in, they take out the poachers, and they rescue all the dinosaurs.
So for anybody listening as well, I pointed this out to him as well, that this plot, which I enjoy a lot when he mentioned it to me the other day, it sounds a lot like the video game out there called Jurassic World Primal Ops that was recently canned a while back. Where you basically befriend a dinosaur and then you go and attack a poacher camp and free more dinosaurs. And I love that game, which means I'm going to love this story.
Dog crap out of that game. I'm trying to see if I can find the the logo I did maybe.
Oh, of course.
For this. Actually, this would probably be easier than
just bringing it up.
Technology. Hang on.
Don't we love it?
So I did kind of make a custom. Okay, maybe. I did make a custom logo for him. I went through several design changes.
He's been working on it a lot, guys. The passion this man has shown is beautiful.
So, that is a Dynamactus with two rifles, and it just generically the word rescue. And yes, for all of you watching, that is a real picture of Alaska, because for y'all who follow me on Instagram, you know I went to Alaska a while back. So.
Alaska confirmed of location site?
Maybe. I actually have been thinking about a movie because I would love to do something under the Northern Lights with a Margosaurus.
Okay, I like that.
And Alaska would be a pretty darn good location for that, but
I agree.
Again, fifth movie confirmed. I'm just kidding. So this is this specific squadron's logo. Maybe each one would have like a different logo, like branches of the military, or not squadron, but group. Well, yeah, squadron, like little group. So as you guys probably know, I love Keanu Reeves. So I would probably have Keanu Reeves play this character. So it's him, and so his background is he's like the CIA agent SWAT guy that retired, and he's really passionate about dinosaurs. He wants to save the dinosaurs. He loves dinosaurs.
So why dinosaurs? Why does this man love dinosaurs and not dogs in this one?
He grew up with dinosaurs. He grew up liking dinosaurs.
He grew up liking dinosaurs. Wow. Okay, I like that.
Well, I mean, who doesn't like dinosaurs?
So
And
we're not, so we're not going to go the John Wick way, where it's like, oh, his wife was like a DPG worker and she loved dinosaurs, and then she dies of cancer, and then he makes it his mission to protect the dinosaurs.
It
That she
literally
looked
just
after.
rip off John Wick. It's
John
just John
Wick,
Wick with
bro.
dinosaurs.
Just everything, bro. Just all John Wick. John Wick
Chris
works.
Pratt. All right, this movie. All right, I'm gonna pitch you this movie. John
Oh
Wick
boy.
with Chris Pratt and dinosaurs.
Oh my god. What?
So
Crazy.
it's this kind of scene where I'd probably have it like early on, where it's just kind of like him and he like is taking out a poacher's base to kind of set the mood at the beginning of the movie.
Ooh,
And he finds this like egg, and he like takes it, and they're like, okay, well, there's no mother, there's no anything, we can't just toss it out onto or like a reserve or something. Well, what do we do with it? And he's like, I'll look after it.
I would keep
And they find out that it's like this Deinonychus egg, and then we like kind of fast forward to like the Owen event where all that happens. Maybe we see the poachers taking Blue. They trank her, net her, toss her in a truck or something. I don't know. And it's like more than 2 guys maybe this time.
Oh no.
Maybe instead of like 2 or 3 guys on a pickup truck, maybe it's like 4 or 5, maybe 10 dudes to make it more realistic to take out a velociraptor. So, and then you kind of get this scene where it's like these 2 like big dudes. So you got like Keanu Reeves and Chris Pratt kind of like looking each other down, like, sup. Like, they're kind of 2 big dogs.
Oh my god. You know what? What a crazy little. Here's where I come into handy, having my little introductions. You know, it'd be crazy if for somehow this bloke Keanu, his backstory was that he was also in the military. And I say military, but specifically the Marines, and he knows Chris Pratt Owen before he went off to work at Jurassic World, so they know each other. So like they bump into each other, like attacking the same poacher base, and then like he's like Owen. Rex, and they're just like having this like little like man to man, 1-to-1, like, oh my god, I haven't seen you in years.
Or like the like he's going to the DPW and they're like, all right, we need our elite team, and they're like, all right, someone call in Rex Connors, and he's like, I think I know that name. And you see this like dude walk in, and he's like, hey, I know you. You get this kind of like sense of like rivalry.
Oh, I was almost gonna say, did they do the Predator Arnold Schwarzenegger like you son of a bitch? Yeah, they do that.
Pushing pencils again. Have that line in the movie.
Just a completely blatant ripoff. No shame.
Why not?
No shame.
So you get this scene of like this like Deinonychus like following around Keanu Reeves, and you're like, and he's got one of the like head cams from Jurassic Park, maybe.
Oh, really?
On and you see this little like device on his arm. He's got all these like little gadgets. He got like this. Okay, I'm gonna be honest. Watching John Wick, I don't remember if it was the first or the second movie, but he goes to the hotel with the shotgun and he's just taking people out.
Bro, that's the third movie.
It's the third movie.
Yeah.
Well, they all blend together. This whole John Wick.
They're all incredible, bro. They're a marathon of a time.
They're worth it. They're worth watching. 100%. So I kind of like that. So I'm like, okay, you'd probably have some kind of weird custom made shotgun kind of thing for like specifically this, so that it's like it's big enough to take out people, but it's also big enough to take out like dinosaurs if need be.
Oh my god!
But you'd also probably have like some kind of like weird special trank pistol thing on his hip.
Oh, he'd have like ankle boots and all kinds of stuff.
Yeah, maybe like a knife or something. And so they like gear up, so you get these 2 like kind of like alpha dudes like combating each other.
I mean, Owen does genuinely call himself an alpha in the Jurassic World.
Yeah. But like you get this like feeling like you get like Owen's kind of like the BA of Jurassic.
I just thought real quick, like if this movie had to go into like marketing and stuff like that, it'd be like there's like little words in between each scene. It would be like 2 alphas.
Yeah, 2 alphas.
2 alphas reunited again to the class thing.
Where Owen is kind of like the survival big guns dude in the original Jurassic World movie, where he's kind of the BA guy. You get this feeling where he's like now underlined, and you have like Rex Connors is a new level up, and you're like, whoa.
He's like more intense. He's like more intense.
He's like, and they like slowly take out a couple poachers bases, and you get this like. He's got like a Deinonychus resignation chamber in one of his pockets or something, so he can like. And he learns
just like a little Not just like a little high tech little bloody high frequency little wristwatch. He just presses
Yeah.
and it comes back to him.
Yeah, he's got like a wristwatch thing, so you can see the camera angle from like. So actually, you're jokingly saying 2 alphas. There would be 3 alphas because this Deinonychus is named Alpha.
No, oh my god, that's right.
Just because it's a cool name. It's a cool name.
It's a good. The way you spelt it actually is cool to me.
Yeah, it's ALFA. Just gotta kind of play off a little bit. So he was raised by Rex. So he's kind of got this like, they got this like bond, kind of like Blue and Owen, but like a little bit more extreme because they kind of spent like every moment together.
That's wild.
And so you'd have like these cool scenes of like Owen with this group of like poacher hunters and like Rex hunters leading the pack, taking out groups of like poacher bases, trying to get to like this big dude.
You know, I absolutely could see that scene. Like it's like cold winter setting. It's just after dusk, and they're like walking side by side, like with their rifles bent slightly down, and they're like shooting these dudes moving, and on either side of them, like Blue and Alpha are like attacking dudes and ripping them out into the open, holding them down.
There's like a scene where they like the poachers maybe get a hold of them.
Mm-hmm.
But any better, and there's like they have them like tied up on the ground with like shadows behind them. And it's like this poacher, he's about to like shoot him, and he's like, "Any last words?" And he just kind of like Alpha, and you're like, "What?" You're like, bounces on the poacher and starts like mauling all these poachers, and you're like, "What's going on?" And you like,
you know what?
Hands free and grabs the gun
it would be something cool. It's like, "Any last words?" And he's like, "No words." And he just gives a whistle.
Something cool.
Oh,
you're like, "Whoa!"
No words.
And there'd be like this scene like in like a bunker somewhere where there's like this dude trapped.
Yeah, like flickering lights.
He has like a gun to his head or something.
Yep.
He's like, you'll never get the information you need out of me. Any step closer and you lose all the information you need.
And he like makes him like an equally cool deal. He's like, that's where you're wrong, sunshine. Yeah, you know, he's like talking like really like slurs. Oh, I like that. I like that a lot.
He's like standing against a wall. And occasionally this dude like pops a shot at him or something. And you're like, oh, how's he gonna do this? You're like thinking about it. It's like, this dude, I don't think he can. And then like one of the like other Rangers is like, he's like, Rex, the second in command. He told us everything we need. We have everything we need. This guy's no longer useless. And you see this kind of like cunning behavior, and he just like tosses his gun in the doorway, and you're like, what's he doing? And he basically just like slowly steps out with his hands up, and all his troops are like, what are you doing? He's like, hey man, we really need this information. We'll let you go. We'll let you do whatever. He's like, we really need this information. And this guy's like, you'll never get it. And then he's just like, you know what? You're right. He just kind of like snaps. And then from like a vent or something, like Alpha just busts out and starts mauling this dude. And you're like, oh, whoa. He's like tricked this dude into like security, like feeling secure in himself. Like just like, you think that guy is playing 3D chess. And then you get like this guy is like, I got 40.
He's just whatever anyone says to him, he just says something like ridiculously unnecessarily cool just to like just be annoying.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, you think you're playing chess, boy? It's like, I'm already 4 steps ahead.
I need raptors. Lots of raptors.
He says some dumb shit to you as well. He'd be like, it's like, oh, you hungry? I don't have a fork.
It's just so stupid.
Just no reason at all. Every line just somehow turns out just to be a quip. It's like
every line is a one-liner.
That's, you know what, that could make like his character kind of more endearing. It's just like he's trying to be cool. He's just unintentionally cool somehow. It's just like whoopsie doops.
Always smoldering off in the distance.
He's just always looking awful like, really? Oh, it's beautiful.
But I was actually thinking that we could tie this in with something that you like. I mean, we got Soya Santos.
Everybody bringing us over. Everybody, he's doing a cross-brand promotion now. He's trying to unify, make a joint here.
Maybe have like Soya Santos be this Sonya Santos be this like global kind of, not superpower, because I don't think she has nuclear capability.
No. But she's definitely got.
She's got this like global.
She's got all the reach. Yeah, she's got all the reach. And these poachers or whatever, they say like, we need something big to deal with them, and then they call her, and it's like, well, my prices are.
This whole time they're kind of fighting this like big dude that kind of seems like he's this big boss guy, and so they kind of eventually reach him, and it's this guy, and he's like forcefully trained like a Utah raptor. And so you get this like big old Utah raptor that like pounces out at him, and you're like, whoa, what is going on? And so it's like this big dude, and he's like, and they're like all unarmed and stuff, and they just start like basically like boxing and knife fighting with Keanu Reeves and Chris Pratt, just because it'd be entertaining. So this is really big dude fighting Chris Pratt and Keanu Reeves, and in the background, like Chris Pratt kind of like comes in with Blue. He like saves Blue in the background, so you see him like walk through a doorway, and he sees like Keanu fighting this guy, and he like jumps in, and you see like Alpha maybe getting like tossed around by this Utah raptor a little bit, and you're like, for a second, you're like, oh my god, is this guy actually gonna die? You're having them like kind of getting beat down a little bit, and you're like, and then you see like Blue pounce on the Utah raptor, and you have this Utah raptor and Deinonychus. They look at each other, kind of got this mutual agreement, and they take out this they start fighting the Utah raptor, and then you see like Chris Pratt like, I don't know, Superman punch this guy. I don't know, something funny.
Something funny like that.
Like Chris Pratt, like he's like, he don't have anything, and Keanu Reeves like tosses him a knife, and they just start fighting this big dude. Maybe they take him out, or they have him on like his last breath, and he's like on his knees, like bleeding from his mouth or something. And he's like, it's much bigger than me, and that's like his last line. And they're like, what do you mean by that? And they like look at his computer, and they see like this unknown figure that like just looks like Sonia Santos. And like,
Sonia Santos, just the outline, just her outline.
And she's just kind of like sitting in a chair watching, and you kind of get this like line like, oh, he wasn't good enough, and then she like hangs up or something.
I like that. I like that.
She's just like get this thing where like Rex and Owen are kind of like now like sedating this Utah raptor. They have to worry about this Utah raptor because they don't quite want to kill it. They want to like move it to a reserve or something, and they're just trying to like calm it down. And they like trank it or something, and Rex or Alpha and Blue kind of have this like agreement where they're just like kind of friendly towards each other, and Blue runs off maybe in a new location or something, and they gotta go find her and bring her back to America or whatever. Rex will be like, I'll help you find her, and it's just Rex and Owen because they can't take the whole squad. They got other stuff to do.
Yeah, of course, they're doing other stuff.
So you got like Alpha tracking Blue with like Keanu Reeves and Grady in the background. He's like, I'll get my people on this. And so you get this maybe like post-credit scene, end credit scene, whatever you want to say. I don't know. Drop some Marvel lore, and you get this like Sonia Santos like showing herself like with the Atrociraptors in the background or something.
So this one's before. So this one's before Dominion. Okay, I like that.
And you get these like Atrociraptors, or maybe like more Atrociraptors.
Oh, like a new batch, new breed.
Batch.
Okay.
And she's like, they're like training with like new poachers or something to like work together. And she's fair enough. Talking to somebody, and she's like, the American wing is down. The Northwest American wing is down, and you're like,
it's closed to us now.
Yeah,
we lost our route.
The market's down, and you're like,
yeah.
Whoa, what is going on?
Like, oh no. You're like, what? Bigger, and it's like, whoa. And I've got so many ideas to say. Oh no.
This war with the DPR and this like poacher empire.
Mm-hmm.
I'd be, and it's just like, what is going on here?
I like the sound of that. I do actually quite like the sound of that. Oh my gosh. Oh man, see the worst part is for me, like you mentioned Toyota, and immediately it harps back to me writing my like novel or my book about her, and I'm just like, I don't even think we have the time to get into all of that now. Like all the ideas I have for those and for like the sequels series to Chaos Theory, I guess now not Camp Cretaceous anymore that I'm writing, because like there's just so many ideas that I have for it and so much intricate bloody detailing that it would take us another hour to get through all that as well.
I got another hour.
I know you do, man. I know you do, but I'll tell you what. I'll try to keep them down and condensed. But first thing I want to ask about that story as well. So how does it all wrap up? Like what happens? Do they go their separate ways, or
I'd probably have it like wrap up maybe with like them just kind of like you have like Owen run off into the woods somewhere.
Of course,
maybe in North America, and then like Owen's like worried watching the doorway, and Rex is like, my God, he's like trying to figure all this stuff out, and he's like sees him, and he's like, I'll help you find her. And you kind of get like Grady's like, thanks. They kind of leave with like Alpha tracking Blue. And maybe I'll do like a follow-up movie with like Alpha, Rex, Owen, and then like they're like trying to track down Blue and a bunch of stuff keeps happening. And maybe like I'll have like scenes of like Alpha talking and communicating with Blue. Like she catches Alpha catches up and then Blue's like they're kind of like talking to each other a little bit. And Blue's like, I want to be left alone. Like she's just kind of trying to communicate like that she wants to be left alone. And Alpha's like kind of communicating a little bit. And they're like, maybe they hear Grady and Rex in the background. And then Alpha like turns to look at them and Blue darts off again or something. I don't know. Maybe that's a movie for the future idea.
Fifth installment.
Sixth installment. I'm just kidding.
Oh my god. These fans out here making a whole bloody new 2 trilogies, everybody. Oh, so the funny thing is, I think I like hearing all that. The only thing I think I would tweak slightly is that like instead of having like Blue get kidnapped again, like how her kid did in Dominion, I would actually have it that the plot kind of revolves around the idea of like Rex like having a problem, right? Like he's something has happened to him. Maybe again, who knows? Maybe they have his wife captured. We don't know who works for like the DFW, but I would have him go to Owen for help. That's what I would do. I would have him go to Owen for help in the Sierra Nevada mountains and these little things.
Like you have like Owen off grid, but kind of like
off the grid exactly. And like that's the thing. Yeah, he'd be like, "How'd you find me?" Yeah, he'd be like, "How'd you find me?" And he was like, he would say something silly, like you would think it would be like, "Oh, I tracked you here." He's just like holds it like a postage stamp. He's just like, email. I figured out where you were.
Or he's like, oh no, like does Owen have his dog tags in the movie?
Oh my god, I don't think he does. He might be in the bloody background somewhere. I've never seen him before.
Yeah, I don't. Well, I'm sure the military also keeps several copies of your dog tags. So like he's like, how'd you find me? And he just like holds up his dog tags.
Well, the thing is, you got to remember, he living in the woods now, bro. He living in that house he built.
Yeah, so but you're like,
is that his address?
Like the
Do they know?
cleverness of him, and you're like, how was he able to find him with just his dog tags?
I guess
you don't quite know what's going on there.
I think that would be a prime. Yeah, I think that would definitely be like a prime opportunity to install like a little joke, a little bit of camaraderie there. It's like, how'd you find me? And he's like, you tracked me or something? And he's like, nah, just asked around in town and just the old cologne you wear or something. It's like something silly like that, you know.
He's like, I'd recognize your smell a mile away.
I recognize you. I did. It's 10 miles away. That's not how it works.
He's like the raptor out front doesn't help.
Or you could just keep it super bloody. Yeah, you could just keep it like super
ambiguous in the background for like just a quip or something.
Yeah, it would just be like very ambiguous.
Like, a scene where Alpha is, or where Rex is walking through the woods and kind of stumbles upon Blue, and then like she darts off, and you see like Beta in the background or something. And you're like, oh, that's cool. And then he kind of remembers some stuff, and he walks back to the door, walks up to the door. And that kind of thing or something like that. Yeah, that would be cool.
Oh, yeah.
That'd be a cool idea.
Definitely. And so what, do we have any series ideas as well? Or is that going to be...
All right, so the next one I feel like you would like a lot more, which is the final one. And the one where the name is a working progress. I don't quite know what to call it. So for all I have right now is Jurassic World.
Of course.
Probably like Lost Island or something. I don't know. Just some generic
name. You love it. Working title.
This is a group that Sonia Santos has sent out to right? Isla Monteseros. Because we haven't seen it in the movies, and we don't really know what's going on there.
No, yeah, we just know it's part of the Los Cinco Muertes, the 5 deaths in the chain, and we don't know if Masrani owned those islands as well. Like as far as we know, InGen only owned Sorna and Nublar, as far as we know.
So my idea with this island is that it's like an experimental island where they kind of experiment with genes and new dinosaurs, and maybe they were thinking about opening up some new park, and so it's just like this like weird lost stuff where we still get like Jurassic Park ruins, but it's a group of poachers, and the movie would start with like them in this like cove, and they're like, something's out here, we don't know what it is, we can't identify it, and then like this little like screen goes black and you're like screaming, and then it's like it like pans away from a screen, and it's like Soya Santos showing like this like fresh batch of poachers that were like just trained or something, and they're like, that was the last known location of Group C or something, just like generic name of like of my poachers I sent to Isla Mataceros or.
You have all been
something like
selected
that.
for this job because the last
like-
group was no longer qualified. You know, something cool.
Yeah,
like
something
that.
like that. And she's like, I need you to go see if they're faking it and they're betraying me, or if they're really gone. And they're like, they're like new recruits, so they'll think they're in the army or something. They're like, yes,
Yeah, you will
stuff.
discover what happened to them, or you won't come back at all.
Yeah.
You know, a little bit of that. Like,
I
I'm
don't
like,
want to.
oh.
And so it's like you get this like scene of them on this like boat, and they're like being shipped out, and they're like talking about it. They're like, hey, do any of y'all have any experience? And one guy's like, I picked up a compy one time.
That'd be good. I like that. Like
of their experience.
I saw one once upon a time. I went to the park.
They're like, yeah, I've been tasing the ones in the cage or something, or I've been tranking the ones that escape in the market or something like that. Have something like a callback to Malta where like a small group of them would, like there's like one experienced veteran dude. He's like, yeah, I had to clean up Malta or something like that. And you're like, whoa, what happened there? Or maybe him and his group was sent into Malta and I'd like take some stuff down there or something. Have like 2 or 3 veteran kind of guys leading the pack. And so they finally land on this island and they land on the cove. So actually, can I just
please do
pull up a map? I made some slight alterations to the island with like terrain and stuff. Basically, just because I wanted to make it fit a little bit. Okay, maybe I can pull up a map. Google's being funny, as it kind of always does. Because it's easier to show on this. Yeah, there we go. So kind of in this, can you see my mouse?
Oh, yeah, I can see a mouse.
Oh, that's cool. So kind of they'd arrive in this area. I'd make this area kind of like a cove.
Okay.
Kind of like a little secluded cove area.
Uh-huh.
And so they'd kind of reach there and there'd be like, they'd see like ruins, like camp ruins and things like that. Maybe like a dead body or something, like, oh, what's going on?
Ooh,
I'd have this like weird scene where they kind of hear something rumbling in the bushes and they're all nervous.
Uh-huh.
And you see this tiny dinosaur run out and you're like, oh, it's a compy. And then they like get closer to it and it's like a T-Rex.
Oh, really?
And it's like this pygmy T-Rex and it's like full, you can tell it's fully grown. And you're like, they're like, this island is weird. Yeah. One of them just kind of like kicks sand at it or something and it runs off and they're like, Billy, why'd you do that? Why would you do that? I wanted to look at it or something.
Billy!
I'd probably have like where all this dark green is, kind of have that be like mountainy area, and I'd have it come down to like here. So it cuts this little like bit in half. Maybe some down here. I'm not even really touching the southern part of it. Really, it's more up here. So they come in here and they would have to have an extraction point up here or something, kind of in this general area. And yes, I traced a map of Isla Monteseros onto this tiny notebook just so I could have notes.
Oh, that's cool, bro. I love that.
So there would be like a mountain range here with like a cave system that they have to walk through that lets them out into like a swampy area here. But in it, they learn about the kind of like what you called them is the Lux virus or whatever.
Lux variants,
variants,
because it's the
which
bioluminescent creatures.
Bioluminescent variants. And so they know about the ones on Nublar. They heard about the ones on Nublar, so they think it's like a bunch of herbivores or something.
Yeah, and so they think that specifically Dr. Wu did it himself, but
they walk through and it's like Parasaur, and they're like, oh, they're walking to this cave and they see like a glowing movement in the back, and they're like, what is that? And they're like, oh, it's probably just some like glowing Parasaurolophus. And they realize that their mission isn't to like poach stuff, but it's to like figure out what happened to this other group.
Yeah. Find out what happened.
Oh, maybe it's just Lux Stegosaurus or Lux Parasaurolophus or whatever. And you hear this like growling and this like faint roar echo in the cave, and they're like, one of them's like, I don't think that's Parasaurolophus. Did they change it? And you see this Ceratosaurus, this like Lux Ceratosaurus, charge at them and like take 2 or 3 of them out. And you just like, the only things you see is this like glowing red of this like Lux Ceratosaurus and like gunfire going off because they're like panicking as they try to get out of this cave. And this like they're being picked off. Maybe 2 or 3 more get picked off by them, and they make it out of the cave. And they turn around to look at the cave, and you see like the Ceratosaurus come to the edge of the cave, and you can tell that their skin is like bleached white. It lost all of the pigmentation in their skin. Their eyes are like they're blind. They're like glowing, like the stripes on them are like glowing red. And you realize that they're not leaving because the light hurts. You realize that they're leaving because they don't want to enter this new area. They're kind of standing at the edge of the cave. One of them is even like standing in the light outside of the cave. So they're like, the light's not making them worry, but what could possibly freak that thing out? And they like kind of turn around and go back into the cave, and you're like, what's wrong with that thing? And they turn around and they're like in this like swamp, which would be right about here at this time.
I see.
They're in this swamp, and this is like an idea for a Paleocene park that they were going to have. And those of you who don't know, that's after the dinosaurs, so that's really when Megalodon was. That's when you have things like Titanoboa too. You have, although Dinosuchus isn't technically Paleocene, but I'm gonna put it in there.
I mean, look, man, if they just added bloody Megalodon into Jurassic World Evolution 2, I think you can get away with having a dinosaur.
Big alligator? Yeah. I think I can get away with a big snake and a big alligator.
I mean, Jesus Christ, it's a mod in the game already. Like, I used it in my last playthrough. I was like, yeah, do it.
Yeah, so, I mean, you get this kind of, like, little park area with some, like, fences, and they're like, where's this area? And they like, have like, a sign in this, like, Dinosuchus and Titanoboa, and one of the, like, nerdier dinosaur nerds is like, those aren't dinosaurs. Why would those be on the park?
Yeah, what are these? Where did these come from?
And they kind of walk through this like little entrance, and there's a staircase down into like a glass tunnel that goes like kind of below the water a little bit, and you see like this like faint silhouette of like a snake to the side, maybe like an eye is like right on the glass, and they're like, what is that? And they're like, no, we're safe in here. And then you slowly see something wrap around the tunnel.
Ooh.
And you're like, what is that? And you see this Titanoboa just kind of staring in at them as it just starts to constrict the tunnel. And they're all like, we're safe, right? And you see like it just start to crack, and they're like, uh-oh. And so they start beelining it to the other end of the tunnel while they like this Titanoboa breaks the glass, and like marsh water starts like flooding in a little bit as it comes in. Maybe it like wraps itself around somebody and like eats them whole, or just like bites their head or something and crushes their head.
Oh my god!
And they're like firing at it. Maybe they kill one, and you see like 2 more slithering, and you're like, oh god, what is going on?
Oh god!
And they finally make it to this like other staircase at the end of the tunnel, and they realize that they lost like 2 or 3 people from these things, and you hear like faint like screams of like last breaths just like get cut off on the other end of this door, and they're like what is going on here? I don't know what's going on. And they make it up this staircase, and it's like this boardwalk with like a cage over it, and they're like, oh god, we got to go through more. And that's whenever they go through, and you see this like giant alligator like rip part of the cage off, like just like rip part of the cage off, maybe grab 1 or 2 people, rip them in half,
the poachers who I'm emotionally invested in.
What'd you say?
I said the poachers know that I'm emotionally invested in.
Yeah, the poachers, and it's like funny because they're also poachers, so you're like, oh no, but you're also like,
oh no, terrible.
We've been building up that you don't like poachers throughout this. Maybe
I will say, my man, the one thing that I've noticed in all of these so far that there's a through line is that literally each and every one of them has poachers in it. That's the one through line between all of them.
It's the easiest thing to make like bad guys. Not the first one. The first one didn't have poachers.
Well, here's the thing. I've said before, you can try to make a poacher. Like I think they're going to do with one of the characters in the new movie that's coming out. I think they're going to make them a poacher, but make them like relatable. Like that they're trying to make money in the dinosaur trade to like pay for a sick person back at home. Like a motivation that makes you think like you want to root for them, but even though they're doing terrible things. That's to me is when a character is most interesting. Is when like it's someone doing bad things, but you get it. You understand.
Maybe one of them is like. It is like he just wants to get back to his family. He wasn't like
He didn't sign
want
up
to
for
do
this.
but somebody in the group had like dirt on him, so they like
Or Soyona could be blackmailing him into doing it in the first place. Because, bro, she would not be
that's
above
what's
that.
going on. They're like scraping the bottom of Soya Santos is scraping the bottom of the barrel for some more poachers or something. I don't know.
Oh yeah, don't worry, we can
And
figure it out.
she's like, we got this dude, and he owes us some money because he had to
Yeah.
pay for his
He had to pay
daughter's
for some.
sick whatever. I don't
Oh,
know.
it'd be crazy. It'd be crazy if that she loaned out like microceratus or like homalocephalase as like favor gifts and stuff like that to people, and then like people she trusts, and then she pulls like the debt on them later on as like something they owe.
Some like sneaky thing. So it's
And
like
then you can't get rid of them because the daughter or the son or whatever, the little kid, they love it like a pet, and they can't get rid of it. They don't want to give it away, so they have to go do like this thing. Even though saying that, they probably would still be like, yeah, but maybe I don't know if I'm going to go work for her. I mean, if that's the case, if she just gave me this, like, I'd kick that shit out the house.
I'm sorry, sweetie, but
Sorry, sweetie, but
your microceratus is about to get old yellered.
Yeah, it's about to be. I'm going to take it to the farm. It's okay. So, Dad, we don't own a farm. It's okay. We're going to take it there anyway.
About grandma's farm? No, sweetie, no.
No, sweetheart. No, grandma's just dead.
But like, yeah, maybe it's like one of them is like. I do want the vast majority of them to just be like jerk poachers. So you're like,
God, he loves his cannon fodder. Everybody, he loves it. I tell you.
Hey, I tell you what. I feel like the one thing I want to see is a bunch of dinosaurs rip some people apart. But so you have like maybe one or two of them where they're like a little nicer. I was
gonna say, then you lose. Yeah, then you lose your PG rating, bro. Because if you can't do that, bro, then you can't like market to all the younger kids in the audience, bro. Come on, man. You know, Eric, man. You know the Jurassic Park is meant to be made for kids and from the eyes of a kid, right? And that's the thing.
Sure,
in almost none of these, yeah. That's the one thing I will point out, my G. Like, none of these, except for maybe Eric, who's an adult now. I ain't heard no kids being mentioned in none of these, bro. And I'm like, oh no, we're missing a crucial independent part of these movies.
The second one's more child friendly.
Well, I mean, you gotta remember though.
And to be fair, the first one I talked about is about as child friendly as Jurassic Park 3.
I mean, I guess, but also it's like there was still a child in that one, I guess. But I understand what you're saying.
I'm just saying.
But like, saying on it.
Yeah, maybe one or two of them of the poacher guys are like they have dirt on them and they're just trying to pay off their debt or something. And so they're like. All these other poachers, they'll like one of them like trip and fall over like a root or something, and they'll go and like help him up. And this dude's like, get off me! I don't. And you're like, oh, I want that guy to die.
My pride, no.
And like, as they're walking through this swamp, maybe a few more get picked off by Dinosuchus. They get dragged into the depths, and you're like,
some King Kong swamp deleted scenes shit.
And then like. They walk through this area and then they see like a sign for Dilophosaurus. And they're like, weren't these on the mainland? And you get like a couple of them. They're like, Dilophosaurus. It's like tiny. I could kick one. I could grab one by the throat like Owen and toss it.
You know what I would do to make this? You know what I would do to make this island's existence believable? I would have it be that Masroni did own it, and this was his secret facility for like making more interesting dinosaurs. Not necessarily hybrids, but more like visually interesting sort of dinosaurs and creatures and stuff like that for the park that they didn't want. Because he didn't trust Wu to not like muck them around or make them the wrong way. And I reckon that the person who could have owned the island could have been maybe Soyona Santos. And then she's like, well, now that island's gone, I need to like recoup in my investment. But the team I sent there for that, they've gone missing. So I need to send in this new team, and we're going to blackmail them by threatening their families. Or maybe one of them like bought a dinosaur that he didn't have the right amount of liquidated capital for, and they have to he has to pay off his debt doing the rest of this. And you just you end up really emotionally getting invested in this guy, and then like he's the one who ends up dying. Like you gotta throw some stakes in there, brother. You gotta throw some like heart throbbing moments.
So they're like all talking about Dilophosaurus, like it's this little punk dinosaur, and they're like, whatever. There's enough of us. We'll scare it away. And you see this like rather large movement from the side. There's like a side camera or somebody, and they're like, and one of them's like, what was that? And they're like, that was probably nothing. And then they see like a gap in the cage, and they're like,
must have been nothing.
They're like, there's like a gap in the cage. Must have been nothing. Guess it's just the wind.
Yeah, definitely. On this island where no wind moves.
Yeah, where no wind moves. We're in a swamp. and you see this like And they're like, oh, it's the gap in the cage. Maybe there's something for us to shoot. They're like kind of like excited to shoot this like a tiny Dilophosaurus.
As you would be.
And then you see this like rather high up, like a bit more accurate Dilophosaurus head. So it probably doesn't have the frills. It kind of peeks around the corner and they look up at it and they're like, and it like roars and you see its like bottom jaw open a little bit just to give it like that little horror feel. And it like, you see like 2 or 3 like just charge in through this opening and start like grabbing at people, biting them, eating them, and they're like taller than the people, and they're like shooting at it. Maybe they kill one, then like the 2 others like grab some more people and run back into the like swamp, and they're like all freaking out. They finally make it through, and they like, I don't know, someone chops down a tree and barricades the entrance from the like that park, and they're like set up a little camp right there, and they're like, what is this island? What is going on in this island? This is not a normal island. And they like have to walk through. So at this point, they're probably here somewhere. So it's just like nothing but jungle for the rest of the way.
Oh no.
And they're like, we still have miles and miles and miles of jungle in like open grasslands. And you get this like feeling where like, I don't think all these people are going to make it out. And you get this, they start walking through the jungle, and you get like maybe a little bit more peaceful. So you get like some more test-like species. So you have like Styracosaurus, maybe some other ceratopsian, maybe one, or not ceratopsian, Stegosaurus that you see, like maybe one of the ones like
Chunkingosaurus.
Yeah, Chunkingosaurus, just something around, just like
Critanosaurus for the ankylosaurs, like something like smaller but less
yeah,
unknown, maybe.
Like maybe like a Notosaurus or something, just something
there you go.
that we haven't really seen, something that we haven't really brought in.
Eupocephalus, you know?
Yeah, well, Euoplocephalus is a little too close to Ankylosaurus.
Well, that's true.
So, but like maybe like Notosaurus or like a new one, and they're like, it's a little peaceful. Maybe the hard times are over, and they come across like Pitatosaurus, this little tiny like hopping
Pistachosaurus. Yep.
Yeah, that one. So
work, yeah.
You talk about marketing to kids.
Oh, absolutely.
Maybe they come across like this massive Argentinosaurus, these huge sauropods, and they're like, wow, look at it. And like maybe the guy has dirt. He's like, all these dinosaurs and all this loss is dangerous, but it's still beautiful, and you like,
it's got a moment to it.
Yeah, it's like this slight feeling, and you get this like slight feeling wherever it make it to like this like open beach area where like up here where there were the remnants of the original crew went like missing, and you get this like feeling you're like, a lot of these people are still alive, and they like come across it and they see this like these giant slash marks. Something that looks like an ankylosaurus struck the dirt or something, and like the trees are all torn up. You got like people bits everywhere. You got like broken like a cage that looks like it's been just like pushed in, like it wasn't broken out of, it was pushed into, and there's like blood in it or something, and it looks like something was dragged out of it, was lifted out of it, and they're like, what is in here? What is going on?
What is this?
And you get this like weird feeling where you're like, what's going on here? And then the movie kind of like shuts off, and you're like, wait, was that the end of the movie? What happened?
So
have you seen 28 weeks later?
Oh no, I have not actually. I always meant to, never got around to it.
Yeah, well, it kind of ends with them like doing like this little recording of it. And this movie would probably be like a found footage movie.
Found footage, I was about to say, yeah.
It's original Jurassic Park kind of thing. And it's from like a body cam of like the people, or like drone shots or something. I don't know. Like they have like a drone that they send off, and then we get drone angles. And like they're like, what is this place? What is going on this island? And they're like, the boat doesn't arrive till like tomorrow afternoon. We have a lot of time to kill. And so they set up camp here. They're always on watch. and they hear this massive roar in the background, and they're like, I don't know what's going on. And so you get this like big dinosaur. I was thinking of incorporating Ultimasaurus into it just because I know it's a little goofy.
Well, to be fair, man, if you're gonna find it anywhere in the story, you're gonna have to find it here. Like, this is the time.
And like, so this big old dinosaur like this crazy. I zoomed in too far.
No, it's good. That's good.
This like
No.
crazy hybrid dinosaur where you figured out that whoever was in control of this island is like far crazier than Wu. You're like, and it like comes out of the bushes and it like steps on a car and just like, you're like, it starts like flinging people around. It eats somebody like with ease. It strikes somebody with its tail. It like starts ripping people apart, and you're like, what is this thing? And you don't quite get a good glimpse at it. You see like bits of it. Like maybe you see part of the frill as it darts by somebody. You see like the big old velociraptor claw rip somebody apart. Maybe the tail was like flying at somebody, and then like it switches over to someone else's camera, and you're like, what is this thing? And you get like,
what is that?
they're like, you just hear like gunfire. You just like panic everywhere. And like the last bit of the movie is like, maybe I'll make the guy that you're emotionally invested into survive.
Oh, maybe not. Maybe not. Then it's a real hooker.
And there'll be like two or three people where you're like, all right, these people are kind of good guys. I don't want them to quite die. And you see like
the center. That's the thing. You got to make a relatable center there, Eric. Man, you got to make someone first to root for. Otherwise, it's like, well, I just watch all these assholes get killed. No problem.
There's like one guy, maybe he's paying off a debt because he bought a little dinosaur. There's like one guy, his like
for his cancer-ridden kid.
Yeah, his cancer-ridden kid. The other one's like families being
threatened. His kids always just wanted a dinosaur or whatever. He got him a Microceratops.
Like impaled on one of the cages or something, and you're like,
oh Jesus!
He's like ripped in half too. He looks like he's like a bite taken out of him. You're like, oh no!
You see like PG-13.
You see like one of them like cowering in one of the cages, like. He looks like he's like shell shock. He has his like finger on the trigger. You can hear the gun going off, but there's no ammo left in it. And you see like the end of the cage is like busted open, like something was trying to get into it. And you're like, what is this? And they're like, the other one's just like missing. And he's like stumbling out of the woods, like ripped apart, like ripped up. And you're like, what is this? And so like, this new like squadron of like this small group of poachers, like the boat like comes open and they come out and they're like, all right, and they just see like carnage everywhere. They're just like, what is this place? And they got like one dude in the cage who's like shaking with his finger on the trigger, and there's nothing in his magazine anymore. And there's like one dude stumbling out of the woods, maybe like one of the bad poachers is like bleeding out somewhere. And he's like gasping for air, and he's like trying to call someone over, and they can't quite save him. And they're like, "What did you see?" And they're like,
"What was it? What did this?" He just dies.
Like, what did this? And they're just like big. The like only one they can get to like talk is colorful. Like crazy. It's like the crazy like shell shock guy, and like the guy that's like limping out. He like passes out. Let's say he stole an egg. He gets a pet. Piscatosaurus, whatever it's called.
Piscatosaurus, yeah. He's trying to make some. He's trying to get like some insurance against like whatever he can make it out of here for.
Yeah, I like the sound of that. Maybe he can sell it and pay off his debt, or maybe he has a new pet. Who knows?
Or he's found like lingering genetic, still viable materials and stuff that could be worth billions for the right person.
And they're just like, he like passes out on the boat, and they can't save like the bad poacher dude. He's like. They rush him in there and they're trying to save him, but he just like dies. And you just see him like flatline in the background. This dude's like shaking with like a one of the trauma blankets or something, and they're like, "What did this?" And he's just like big, and they're like, "What?" And he's just like just shaking, and you're like, "What is this thing?"
Something ultimate.
Yeah, something ultimate.
It's an ultimate creature. Oh, and you know what they would do? They would call it like, they'd be like, "What did this? What did this to you guys?" It's like, the ultimate life form.
Yeah, something like that.
Just like Shadow the Hedgehog.
And one of them like jokingly is like one of the poachers on the boat is like jokingly like, "Oh, Indominus Rex," and he's like bigger, and they're like, "What?"
Ooh,
And it
a
just like
hybrid?
just,
What?
just like fades to black as they like go off on this island, and you just hear this roar, this like ear shadowing roar from the island, and you're like, what? maybe I'll have like a later movie where that crazy trauma guy joins
Another spin-off. Put it in the
joins
books.
the DPR who like retires, and he's like giving them inside knowledge and stuff.
Oh,
And he's telling them about this island. He's telling them about this monster on it, and that everybody's like, "There's no hybrids around anymore." Indominus Rex was killed on the park, and then like one of the guys in the group knows about Scorpius Rex. And like, as far as we know, from what we heard from the kids from this Nublar 6 or something in the movie, and they get a little title drop. Like they were killed in the collapse of the original visitor center, and then one of them's like, Indoraptor was found dead on the horns of whatever.
So
There's no other.
So would this movie be taking place then technically before Fallen Kingdom? Then if they're going to an island, trying to look for dinosaurs on an island specifically.
This one, well, considering that poachers probably aren't as prevalent, it could be later on when Santos is like, it would be after the last movie. So she's like trying to make up profit for losing market in North America. So she's like, I heard about this gold mine on this island of dinosaurs.
Okay.
She sends like a group out there, and they all get killed by whatever. And so you get this like crazy thing where you're like, I don't know what's on this island, and this like one dude that survives on this team. This would be like a different movie after all this, and he like you see him like talking to like Rex Connors or something, and you see like they have like a new recruit on their team, and you get like the new recruit is like Roland Jr. or something funny. He's just like chilling there, and you get this team of the DPR where they're like these BA like poacher hunters, and you have this like a little bit loopy, not quite all the way there anymore, dude. He like doesn't quite blink as much as he should.
It's like the cousin Ed from Aliens.
Yeah.
From Independence Day with Jeff Goldblum. So yeah.
So he's like telling them about this island, and they're like looking at each other like, what do you mean? Indominus Rex is dead, Indoraptor's dead, Scorpius Rex is dead, and he's like,
there's another hybrid.
Worse.
Something worse is on that island. Don't you go back to that island?
And maybe the DPR goes and checks out that island. Maybe they're going to clear it out, make it like a reserve or something.
Maybe they don't. Maybe they just make it like the most cut off island ever, and nobody ever gets to go back there ever again, and we never get to know about it again.
Maybe something like that where it would be cool to have like an actual like face-to-face confrontation, like war between the DPR and the poachers, like on that island.
You love your wars and
dinosaurs all running around in the background while like poachers are sitting there shooting at like rangers and stuff, and they're all shooting at each other, and you got this like Ultimasaurus like running through the background or something.
It sounds chaotic. I love it. It sounds exactly like what Ian Malcolm would have always have despised from the beginning. It's like
most definitely.
Yeah, no, too much chaos. Everything's chaos.
Too much chaos.
Oh, it's beautiful. I love all that.
Yeah, that's all I got for right now.
I mean, guys, you all heard that. It took us an hour and 23 minutes to get through all of that. I loved that.
A little bit more. I think we started at like 42.
Holy shit.
I'll have to go back and figure out how to
He'll trim her all out. He'll trim out all the pauses, and it'll only save us about 10 minutes.
No, I'm not trimming out all the pauses. Those podcasts sound so weird. So I mean,
oh golly,
I'm sure you're busy and you got stuff to do. So
no worries. And well, then there you go, everybody. We're going to be probably having a third reappearance where I get to tell some of my stories.
Oh, most definitely. I'll drag you back on the show.
Please do. I always enjoy showing up.
All right, so I'm sure you're tired because it's like nighttime for you.
No, man, honestly, I've enjoyed every single bloody minute of this, and I'd listen to it for twice as long next time if I needed to. But You know what? Once again, I've got to try to put my thoughts into context as well. I mean, I can't
Oh,
just be
most
rambling
definitely.
on myself. I gotta have like bullet points right out in front of me. You've done an incredible job of coming up with some of these ideas, and honestly, some of them genuinely have the potential, man, to be like a genuinely cool like anthology series. I think if they made that into like a little like smaller, different kind of animation style per episode, like in Star Wars Visions, I think those would do really well.
Yeah, I feel like get like Universal Plus instead of Disney Plus, and make like
Jesus
a
Christ.
Jurassic World shows and stuff.
I was gonna say, don't give them any ideas.
Yeah, like they need it.
I mean, to be fair, man, they would probably just end up, you know, but getting bought out by Disney eventually.
I don't think Universal will.
No,
Universal's
no,
too
no, no,
big.
no, 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 not Universal. I think they'll buy the Jurassic property from Universal.
I, I don't think Universal's willing to sell that.
You know, the funny thing is, like more than a decade ago, could we have said that about Star Wars?
Okay, to be fair, Lucasfilms is not as big as Universal,
True, true, but the
and
property itself and the
they
IP—that's what I'm
had
talking about.
Indiana Jones and Star Wars, and that's. I'm sure they had other movies, but that's pretty much it.
I mean, those are the famous ones that everybody remembers, isn't it?
Those are the only ones that matter.
Oh, of course, absolutely.
So I
Beautiful.
mean, and I mean, Universal is going to hold. I feel like they would hold on to Jurassic World just because it's such a moneymaker.
Well, it has to be. It's like one of the last big ones they have going at the moment. You know. It's
It's
either
kind of
Fast
their
and
big
Furious. It's either
franchise.
Fast and Furious or it's Minions and stuff like that. You know.
Yeah, so
Pretty sure I said the wrong one. I'm pretty sure Minions isn't Universal. But anyway,
I don't. I know what you mean. I think it is.
he
I don't know.
knows.
I
We
don't
all
know.
know.
All right.
If
Well.
anybody's made it this far, like you all know, you're all here with us. You got it.
All right. So if you gotta go, you gotta go. I'll let you. I'll let you
No
be.
worries. Well, everybody, I'm on Instagram, as we all sort of know as by now. You know, it's not too hard to find me. I'll be linked probably in the description of this video, and you can find me on Jurassic Fans Podcast as well. I'm tagged in pretty much every poll and every bloody reel these days. And
It happens.
yeah, thanks so much for having me on again, Eric.
Of course.
Yeah, beautiful.
So I guess I'll talk to you very soon.
So it seems.
See ya.
See you later, lad.
All right, that was Jack O'Hara. Thank you so much for coming on, man. It's always a pleasure to talk to you. Honestly, I feel like we could have made it to like 8 hours. I'm kidding. But if you want my additional content, I showed his Instagram at the beginning of the episode. Just rewind to that. Go check out my Instagram where I post additional content. I have some pretty additional content. I've been posting a lot of stuff. Maybe I'll make a post about this. So go check it out. If you want to see my stuff a little bit earlier, I try to post 2 days in advance on YouTube. So go check out my YouTube account, Prehistoric Life Podcast. There you go. And if you want all of that in one uniform place, go check out my website, prehistoriclifepodcast.com. From there, you can get to my YouTube and my Instagram, of course. And don't forget to check out Dinosaur Trips. They'll give you $250 off your order or your tickets if you go and buy your tickets from them. Tell them Prehistoric Life sent you, and they'll give you $250 off your tickets. So I'm your host, Eric Crawford, signing off. This has been Prehistoric Life Podcast. Thank you so much, Jack O'Hara, for coming on. And I'm dragging you back on to talk about your movies and give a little bit of my insight too, maybe. So I will see you all next time for some more Prehistoric Life. Goodbye and keep it prehistoric.